Hello and welcome back for the 3.29 reveal live stream. 3 minutes to go. I'm just going to jump in Discord with my mate. If Discord loads, we'll get into it. Hello.
Morning.
Morning. Not bad. Yeah, 2 minutes. Yep. 1 minute and 15 seconds for me. Very good, very good. So hoping I wasn't 15 seconds behind. I just saw that Twitch actually has 1440p streaming now. It's grayed out for me as a viewer, but it's good to see. No, it doesn't look like it. I was looking at, like, it gives you like troubleshoot things to look at, and it says it's just like compatibility stuff. I did turn it on hardware acceleration, which I thought might have been the problem, but that didn't seem to work, so I don't know what it is. But apparently Australia does have it as a region thing, so.
Interesting.
Yeah. Here we go. What have they got in store for us today? Just double check. Testing 1
Hi,
2, yeah.
I'm Jonathan
Sorry.
Rogers, Game Director on Path of Exile, and welcome to GGG Live. We have massive changes to show you today with Path of Exile Curse of the Allflame, which is coming out next week on July 25th.
Massive
Twitch drops are
changes,
enabled
eh?
on today's livestream, so you'll be able to claim your Abyssal Soul Shatter rare finisher effect by following the instructions below. Let's not keep you waiting though. Roll the trailer for Path of Exile Curse of the Allflame.
The Allflame calls us to the sea.
Fucking
To
metamorph
a
boat?
lost wreck that still draws ghostly thread.
Maybe metamorph is
curse.
back.
Down below.
Yeah.
With my lanterns, we
Interesting.
can explore the sea floor. We must find the source of the Allflame before the brine rot. Somewhere in the blackest depths, bounty
Summoning circle.
and death await.
What the hell? Yeah, this rework. Here we go. Green Defiler. Yeah.
Come back. Back to back.
God damn.
Come find your fortune
Sorry, does that say new ascendancy?
in the
Luminary or
depths of the sea.
It's like new ascendancy luminary.
interesting?
That could be bloodline though.
True.
In today's stream, we'll be walking you through all the details of Path of Exile, Curse of the Allflame, where you'll comb the ocean floor, discovering sunken artifacts of forgotten origins, fight the horrors of the deep, and do your best to keep from being crushed by the waters above you.
Socket colors.
We're revisiting some familiar mechanics to bring new life to systems that have begun, perhaps,
Interesting.
to show their age. Abyss and Legion will both be receiving
Spellcaster
significant
rebalance.
upgrades, including a new pinnacle boss for Abyss and a new chase crafting system for unique items in Legion. In addition to revamps of the existing leagues, though,
Crazy.
we're also bringing back
Legion
some old
overall,
friends.
too, yeah, I
The
didn't notice
mercenaries
that.
of Trathus are making their way back to Rayclast. Then we'll explain our new endgame system, where you'll join Kirak in investigating anomalies appearing on the Atlas. After that, we'll discuss the character and skill balance coming in Curse of the Allflame. Finally, we'll cover our new set of supporter packs, after which we'll have a live Q&A session where Ziggy D will interview Path of Exile's game director Mark, as well as game designers Octavian and Andrew, answering your questions from Twitch chat.
No
After the live
Jonathan
stream,
in the
we'll drop the
Q&A.
full patch notes at 11 AM
Interesting.
NZT. So let's get started. I'll hand things over to Mark to introduce the new league.
I mean,
Hi,
to be fair, he is
I'm
very
Mark
much
Roberts,
PoE2 focused,
Game
so
director
it
on
makes sense.
Path of Exile. In Path of Exile, Curse of the Allflame, a long-forgotten mystery has begun to stir beneath Rayclast seas. Hidden in the icy depths lie strange and immensely powerful treasures, waiting for those bold enough to claim them. Meet Valerie, a dangerous Corsair
There's the
captain
otter.
who needs boots on the ground and on the sea floor to help her retrieve these treasures and unlock their potential.
He's a tiny little boy.
This is where you come in, to help her find the charts scattered across Rayclast. Then, use those to guide her ship to the patch of brine that holds loot for the taking. In
Probably only a
return,
second
you'll
or
get a
two.
cut of the profits.
Yeah.
These lost charts are guarded by the undead, rival Corsairs, or horrible creatures of the deep. Each of these monster encounters will also have a custom bonus for defeating the enemies. For example, successfully defeating the accursed undead that guard this treasure chest will cause the grateful trapped soul inside to grant you its power, possessing you and granting you ghastly power for the rest of the area. Once a chart is in hand, you'll board the good ship, the Sovereign, Valerie, or Val's reappropriated Oriathan naval vessel.
Yeah.
Here,
interesting.
Val introduces you to the heart and soul of her ship, quite literally. Vesper, another Pondium native like Val, is bound to this ship. His soul burns with the Allflame's curse, and were his comatose body to be removed from the ship, he would surely die. The silvery apparatus that lines the bows and eaves of the vessel allow him to steer the Sovereign anywhere in Rayclast's waters. Using the chart you've brought, Vesper can navigate to a location so you can scout it for Val, and while doing so, claim whatever treasures there might be. How, though, will you avoid a watery grave once sunk below? Vesper controls a spark of the Allflame, a powerful and mysterious magic, which has been imbued into a number of devices aboard the ship, chief among them the bathysphere. This entirely safe and well-tested contraption of rivets, bolts, and metal will be your ticket beneath the waves to explore and plunder. While scouting the depths, in order to not need an ample supply of air, we're instead going to place Allflame lanterns. These are conduits of the power that keeps Vesper alive and bound to the ship,
Drowning
and give you the temporary safety you need to do that
True.
exploring. Without them,
Literal
you will
drowning.
drown.
literal
The first of these is strapped to the bathysphere and activates on landing, rushing the water away to reveal horrifying monstrosities, lost treasures, and a strange luminous coral growing from the corrupted dead in the oceans of Rayclast. These strange growths are the real reason Val has asked you to plumb these waters, as the coral can be broken down into dead man sulfur, the fuel that keeps Vesper's light burning. As you get to the perimeter of the safety provided by an Allflame lantern, Val will drop more down at your request. There's also an option available to have new lanterns fired automatically for you as soon as you need them, if you prefer speed over fine control. Explore and claim what you can, while you can. Lost fortunes of gold, chests of valuables, and lurking threats all lie in wait for you beneath the waves. You might even find the odd lost missive, waylaid on its travel to its intended recipient. But hey, finders keepers, right? Beware though, as Vesper can only power so many lanterns at once, and that power is finite. On placing the last of your lanterns, they will begin, one by one, to flicker and fade, and the creatures of the deep will rush in as they sense the vanishing of the light. You'll have to rush back to the safety of the bathysphere, escaping the cold
you have to
clutches
get
of
back to the
creatures that
start?
despise the light you
God.
bring.
Yeah.
You'll want to place every
Bro.
lantern though, as exploring to collect enough Deadman sulfur is the only way to successfully chart the area for the next step, planning a voyage. Val will keep a record of the areas you've charted, storing details in her journals. Once you've charted enough areas, just talk to Val, place your charts on Val's board, connect them together, and create one giant seafloor excursion. Each area you chart will reveal a special modifier that applies when it is used as part of a voyage, applied
love
to
that.
either the charts
Midas,
adjacent
Max,
to it
and Pen.
or the whole voyage.
Yep.
Here are a few examples.
I imagine that it's wrong.
This modifier causes all equipment dropped by monsters in adjacent charts
maybe.
to be converted to gold. This modifier will spawn friendly jellyfish alongside every pack of monsters in your voyage,
40%?
which you will promptly slaughter for extra loot and experience, we're sure. This modifier causes all monsters in adjacent charts to be empowered by wildwood wisps. With 9 positions on your board for charts when constructing a voyage, these can stack up fast. There are also charts which can take you to specially rewarding areas of the ocean floor. Fields of anchors strewn with treasure chests full of loot, Kalguran shipments lost at sea, and sunken abyssal pits teeming with monsters, to name just a few. There are even some ancient artifacts you might find and resurface. Additionally, the edges of the voyage board track the currents of corruption flowing through the waters of Rayclast, with randomized effects being rolled with each new voyage to affect the charts placed adjacent to them. These add even further rewards to your voyages, and can shake up the way you choose to place your charts. Stack all of that together, and a well-planned voyage, with a bit of luck, can be a very profitable endeavor. But with so much loot to claim, how are you going to get it all to the surface? Val has a solution for just that problem. In each of the charts that comprise your voyage, there will be a capsule waiting for you, sent down by Val, which can store about an inventory worth of loot. Stuff these full, send Val a signal, and she will pull it back up to the surface, safe and sound.
Okay, so it's
Since voyages are built of 9 charts, that's a lot
Yeah,
of
true.
opportunities to send back plenty of valuables.
Yeah, it's like a mixture
Once
of
you're satisfied with the plunder from your
heist
well-planned
and
voyage,
expedition almost. with
find
the-
any of these capsule locations
Little
and
AoE
call the
radius
bathysphere
things.
to it as your ticket out. Val will send it down to your rescue
hope that drowning
as fast as she can.
actually an issue.
You just need to survive until it gets there.
Yeah, it's a bit
Good luck.
terrifying.
Once you do, don't forget to empty all those capsules full of loot. Now, back to all that Deadman sulfur that you've been hard at work gathering. Is that just to keep the Sovereign afloat and Vesper alight? No, it's not. Once you've got a bunch of it, head below decks, and you'll find the heart of the ship at work. Whilst Vesper's body remains above deck, burning away in a contraption of tarnished pipes and corpse-stained glass resides Vesper's soul, and you'll find him to be a pretty crafty fellow, if a bit melancholy. That's where this league's item crafting system comes into play. Give Vesper an item, alongside a currency that you could normally use on that item, and an ample supply of Deadman sulfur. That item is then split into a multitude of ghostly forms, each of which will be the result of having applied that currency to the original item. You can then pick which of the ghostly outcomes you like best to keep for yourself. The
Yeah,
others will go up in
interesting.
smoke, as Vesper can only reify a single outcome. This can be done with almost any crafting step you'd like. Want to see a few outcomes for that influenced exalted orb?
Crazy.
Perhaps you've got a particularly expensive fossil combination you want to get maximum value out of.
There's like a 10% chance that it'll just not appear.
Maybe, yeah.
Do be wary though, as the more potent the craft, the more sulfur Vesper will require to see it done. That's not all, however, as the seafloor hides some yet undiscovered potential in the form of rare and valuable ducats. These can be consumed by Vesper to warp and twist items in ways not seen in centuries, such as Kishara's Ducat, which creates 4 ghostly copies of an item, each of which will keep 1 mod from the original, perfect for creating powerful crafting bases. The Gentile's Ducat, which can solve item or gem requirement problems by changing one attribute to another. And Brine Hook's Ducat, with which you can become an emissary of the gods of Rayclast. Who knows what these aspects might do? These Ducats come from special types of charts, so keep an eye out for them on your travels throughout Rayclast.
Cool.
You may even find some that lead you to notably unwelcoming waters. So that covers the new league, and for the first time in Path of Exile, we're finally going under the sea. Some might even say this is the first real boat league. But that's not all, not even close. Next up, we've got an old favourite making a return. The mercenaries of Trathus are once again roaming Rayclast, looking for hapless fools to duel. Mercenaries will start appearing from Act 3 in San. Before beginning a duel,
Yeah,
you'll be
yeah, it's
offered an
pretty recent.
overview of the mercenary you've encountered. Here, you can see the gear they have equipped and the skills they employ. As per the Trathan Code, you have the right to wager for an item the mercenary is carrying. You'll stake some of your gold, and the duel commences. If you lose, you forfeit the levied gold, and the mercenary will teleport out, repulsed at such a poor display. Win, however, and to the victor will go the spoils. In addition, if you win the duel, the mercenary will aid you as an ally for a number of areas. Trathan mercenaries are powerful allies to have in Rayclast, assisting in a number of ways. Some mercenaries can provide you with powerful auras and buffs, while other mercenaries can do all the killing for you. While in map areas, if you don't like anything the mercenary offers, you have the ability to request their warrant. A warrant is a promise to return and duel again at a later date. A call to action that calls that specific mercenary to a future map, with the same set of skills, but a new set of items. A mercenary will only grant their warrant once, however, preventing you from fighting that mercenary in every single area. Warrants also allow you to trade specific mercenaries to other players.
True.
It is important to note that unlike in Mercenaries of Trathus League, having a mercenary does not count as a player party member. So having a mercenary does not increase monster life or the quantity and rarity of items dropped from monsters. Given that, you may be wondering, but what if I really like a mercenary I found? They have a great personality and powerful skills. Is there really no way I can keep them as an ally permanently? Well, you can, but only if you are a Scion. For the second time in 6 months,
Yeah, I thought
the
it was gonna be
Scion
a
is
third
getting a new ascendancy
Scion.
class, the Luminary. The Luminary is a natural leader, lighting the way for others to follow. Becoming a Luminary immediately lets them allocate the Noble Blood passive,
Crazy.
allowing them to permanently hire any mercenary they find in Rayclast. Luminaries can have up to 3 permanently hired mercenaries.
3.
2 in reserve in towns and hideouts, and 1 as an
okay.
active ally in combat.
Only 1 active. Yeah, I was
Unlike
gonna
with
say, like,
regular
what the hell?
mercenaries, you can change the items permanently hired mercenaries have equipped, opening up innumerate potential build possibilities. By default, permanently hired mercenaries cannot be equipped with unique items, but these passives enable them to equip specific types of uniques.
Very interesting.
While the legendary arms passive empowers mercenaries that have many different unique items equipped. Luminaries have the flexibility of becoming a support character to their mercenary, or having their mercenary support them. The Oath of Fealty and Golden Glory passives empower your mercenary by using your link skills on them. The Loyal Bodyguard and Bestowed Knighthood passives enable your mercenary to protect you in combat, as well as enhancing their aura skills. As with any old league that we add to the core game, we have added full Atlas Tree and Scarab support. Here are just a few examples. These passives allow you to much more easily target the specific types of mercenaries you want showing up in your maps. The Loot and Pillage passive gives mercenaries a chance to drop all their items when defeated, instead of just the one you selected. The Trathan Scarab of Renown makes it so the spawned mercenary is covered head to tail in unique items. And the Trathan Scarab of Infamy forces a more powerful, infamous mercenary to spawn, accompanied by 2 other mercenaries for a truly unfair duel. Unfair for them. There's even a few entirely new mercenary types, one of which is found exclusively on the seafloor in rare Curse of the Allflame encounters. Sellswords of Trathas won't be the whole of your problems in 329, however, as the denizens of the Lightless are getting some much needed updates with the modernization and rework of Abyss. When we brought Abyss over to Path of Exile 2 and Rise of the Abyssal, some functional changes to the mechanic were made to improve the gameplay significantly. In Curse of the Allflame, the majority of those changes will be making their way back to Path of Exile 1. The existing Abyss content had some notable problems. Aside from being very dated, it also required the player to follow a crack as it opens, often backtracking throughout already cleared areas. Now, as you approach an abyssal pit, and the cracks leading up to it, you will find that it is already open and spilling forth abyssal energy into the surrounding area, subjugating the souls of enemies unlucky enough to be within its influence. Slaying these enemies will send those souls spiraling down into the pit, drawing the attention and ire of the minions of Kulamak that dwell beneath. Slay enough of them, and the Abyssal Legion will spill forth from their domain to tear you apart. The upshot of this rework is twofold. Firstly, there is now much more visceral feedback in the moment-to-moment gameplay of Abyss, with audio and visual cues drawing the player along. And most importantly, you'll never need to chase a meandering abyssal crack around a map ever again. No more backtracking. However, be on your guard. The abyssal minions of Kulamak have some different tricks up their sleeves in PoE 1, and many employ entirely different skills to those of their PoE 2 counterparts. To be clear, there are still some aspects of the existing abyssal system that we will be keeping. Abyssal jewels and items with abyssal sockets will remain. In fact, we have given Abyss a similar treatment to what we did with Dell fossils in our last release, moving abyssal rewards out of other areas of the game to make Abyss the exclusive source of abyssal jewels and Stygian vices. This will also come with a complete refresh of abyssal scarabs and Atlas passive tree investment, with some truly dangerous and wild new ways to take on the Lightless hordes.
Abyssal crystal.
Lastly for Abyss, but definitely not least, Abyss is bringing an entirely new endgame pinnacle boss, with its own set of brand new unique items.
Pinnacle.
This boss has a very unique way of accessing it. What does this eyeball do? Good luck figuring this one out. Let's move on to our next league being reworked, Legion. Every league should have distinct and interesting rewards that are exclusively available from that mechanic. This allows players to specialize in certain corners of the game, rewarding those who engage with a given mechanic. Legion is next on our list to receive this treatment. Despite having a unique combat mechanic, we felt Legion didn't have interesting exclusive rewards outside of timeless jewels. While incubators were technically exclusive to Legion, they effectively granted the same rewards that you could get elsewhere. So, what are we doing about it? Firstly, incubators are being removed. No longer will you have to remember to apply incubators to all your equipment every few maps. Instead, we will be adding a new type of reward exclusive to Legion, vestigial unique items. Legion generals and maps will have a chance to drop a new type of currency item, enshrouding crystals. These can be used on your unique armors.
Crazy.
You can then take the enshrouded item to the domain of timeless conflict,
Now you
which
have to charge
might look a
them up.
little bit different to what you
Interesting.
remember.
Oh.
A giant crystal emerges from the center of the domain, and there appears to be some sort of entity trapped inside, potentially the reason that these armies are engaged in eternal conflict. At the base of the crystal are a number of smaller crystals. Clicking on one allows us to place our enshrouded item inside. As we then kill monsters in the domain of timeless conflict, our gloves within the crystal begin to transform. And once you have killed enough, the crystal becomes volatile and looks ready to fracture. I wonder what will come out. Our Shaper's Touch
It's a different
transformed into a
fucking
Malaguero's
glove.
Virtuosity. But now,
Crazy.
the Malaguero's Virtuosity has a trace of the original enshrouded item bestowed upon it, in the
Okay.
form of a vestigial implicit modifier.
Crazy.
As you can see, enshrouding crystals allow you to transfer powerful modifiers from one unique item
That's nuts.
onto another. Here are some more examples of vestigial unique items. Helmets,
Abyssal socket.
boots,
God damn.
gloves,
Jesus
shields,
Christ. These are actually cooked.
and body armors. In addition to vestigial items, we are also making a number of small improvements to Legion. You
What did
no
that
longer
have?
need to kill every
20%
last monster
is
to begin the
taken
Legion
fire.
encounter.
God
Breaking
damn.
out all the key monsters,
Yeah,
chests,
crazy.
and the majority of monsters will be enough to start the combat automatically. No more cheeky single monster hiding in the corner, preventing your encounter from starting.
That is such,
Legion
like,
monsters drop
it's
fewer
such a
splinters,
fucking
but
wild
in larger
card.
stack sizes,
Trying to get a good unique or
resulting
something,
in fewer
but like
clicks in each encounter.
probably one of the best chases to
Unrelenting
do.
timeless emblems have been removed, with regular timeless emblems absorbing many of their effects, causing
Oh,
the domain
shit.
of timeless conflict to become harder, but more
Oh,
rewarding
God.
as you kill
That's
monsters.
so much harder. What the
Your
hell?
reward progress in the domain is now tracked by charging up these small purple crystals, rather than
Oh, God.
flooding your screen with hundreds of reward icons. The rewards are still the same, just not obscuring your screen with symbols. Talismans were introduced back in 2015, but over the years they've been long neglected and lack a meaningful place or purpose. We are making a number of changes to bring talismans back to relevance. Firstly, talismans are now exclusive rewards from Bestiary. Every red beast has a chance to drop a talisman specific to that beast. For example, the Krashik Croaker can drop the Croaker talisman.
God
What
damn.
makes these talismans special? Well, you'll notice a couple of changes compared to old talismans. Firstly, talismans no longer drop corrupted, making them far easier to
Crazy.
craft once you find one. Secondly, the special modifiers on talismans are now enchantments, rather than implicits. This means they compete with blight anointments, allowing their
the
effects
Great
to be
Wolf? What about the
significantly more
special
powerful than
uniques?
before. Here are a few more examples of new talismans.
Holy.
Talisman unique items have all been improved, and now have a chance to drop from all bestiary bosses. Check out the new Eyes of the Great Wolf talisman, which has some crazy possibilities.
Oh, there you go.
So that is
God damn.
everything covering the new and reworked League mechanics in 329. Now, that's already quite a lot of in-game content, with Mercenaries returning, an upgraded Abyss, Legion's new reward mechanic, and of course, everything the Curse of the Allflame League has to offer. But even with all of that, we're not done. Because what about the Atlas itself? Given Zana's actions to try and destroy it in the last two expansions. Zana's actions are causing the Atlas to become ever more destabilized. Strange locations have begun to manifest on the Atlas, many of which seem to be bleeding over from familiar places in Rayclast. Kerak has labeled these as anomalies. When you complete maps affected by a Voidstone, there is a chance that when you next open your Atlas, an anomaly may manifest. Like this one, the Mana Foyer. Like regular maps on the Atlas, you can select them at your map device, but unlike regular maps, these don't require an item to enter. It looks like this area is the abode of Cadero Perandus. Cadero is willing to offer valuable items in exchange for our gold. If you don't like what is on offer, you can reject it, and he will immediately offer another item. The next offer will cost more gold, but hopefully is much more valuable to you. If you don't have enough gold for the offered item, don't worry. Kadero is happy to wait for you to replenish your coffers. You can return to the area at any time. The anomaly will not disappear from the Atlas until you either purchase an item or reject all his offers. Anomalies are unique in this regard. Unlike other locations on the Atlas, these areas can often be revisited. Let's quickly run through a few of the anomalies that can manifest. Reflecting Mists and the Nameless Seer no longer randomly spawn within maps, but instead now appear in their own anomaly areas. Scrying is no longer the domain of the Nameless Seer, but instead can be done through the new, tradable Scrying Orb.
What the
Some
hell?
anomalies grant
Tradable.
a taste of League mechanics you might not normally run, without having to be
Crazy.
fully invested into them. For example, this anomaly creates a random, fully revealed heist blueprint wing, with random rogue companions. This anomaly has a version of the Sacred Grove, where the plants have fully taken over. This strongbox seems to have a strange mechanism.
Gamble box. Hell yeah.
Atlas anomalies are unaffected by your Atlas skill tree, and you can't augment them using any fragments. Therefore, they can be run at any time without feeling like they have to be saved for later to maximize the potential rewards. There are many more Atlas anomalies to discover for yourselves, each of them tied to a specific Atlas quadrant. It is therefore worth discovering which ones can spawn in each part of the Atlas, as it may
Very
influence what Atlas
interesting.
strategy you wish to pursue. So that is a heap of new challenges to encounter, from the League and the in-game. But you may be asking, what new tools do we have to
Yeah.
face these challenges? In 329, we are giving a bit of love to spellcasters, specifically those that cast spells themselves. But first, let's address the elephant in the room that astute players may have noticed. Yes, I'm talking about those socket colors. So, after the better part of 2 decades, in 329, we're making a fairly radical change. Sockets, at a basic level, don't have colors anymore. You can now put any colored
Crazy.
gem into any socket.
What the
We're
fuck?
doing this to address a long-running issue for both new and experienced players. I'm sure almost everyone who has played before has run into the issue of finding a notable upgrade and have
So
struggled
why
to
are there
find a way
colors
to
then?
equip it.
Tell me.
Maybe you find an amazing body armor, one that would give you a substantial boost to your defenses, but you just can't move your skill or support gems over because the colors of the sockets just don't match, and you didn't luck out with your chromatic orbs. It's not fun when you have to unequip a bunch of skills or supports just to use a better item. This can still happen with the socket numbers and socket links, so it's not like it's just purely trivial, but the colors were just unnecessary, and not only prevented upgrading gear, it limited build experimentation. So, given that, what do the colors on gems with regards to sockets even now mean? Well, the colors on gems for sockets are still relevant, just as an upgrade system. You can still find items with colored sockets, and you can craft them onto items. They are just rarer and more powerful. Most importantly, they don't restrict what can be socketed into them. So how are they more powerful? Well, if you were to find an item with, say, a green socket, you can put a green gem inside of it to get an additional quality bonus to that gem. This allows socket colors to be a purely positive outcome on an item, while not just simplifying the system away. You can also still change the color of sockets on your items using a chromatic orb, which now guarantees at least one red, blue, or green socket. This change will make it easier for
Interesting.
everyone to upgrade items and maintain their build, especially while progressing. Speaking of builds and gems, we wanted to make sure we improve some of those, specifically for spellcasters. Let's get into that.
Yeah, to the same type.
Spellcasters have a large
Interesting.
number of different skills to choose from, but often many skills play and scale in similar ways. We have done a pass through existing spells, differentiating spell damage types from each other. For example, Shadow's physical spells, like Ethereal Knives and Bladefall, now have a much higher critical strike chance than other spells at the expense of damage. pure lightning spells now all have generally higher cast speeds, but they cost more mana per second than other spells. We noticed that some of the Ascendancy classes for Shadow, Witch, and Templar were lacking options for general spellcasting, so we've added a new notable to the Assassin, the Occultist,
Bifurcating crits
and the Inquisitor.
Yeah, crazy.
We are also introducing a new skill, Mana Infused Staff, that infuses your staff with arcane energy, raising your block chance and reducing the mana cost of your spells. In addition, when you are hit by an enemy, you retaliate with a wave of arcane lightning, dealing damage based on your maximum mana. One of the struggles we noticed with certain self-cast archetypes was that they lacked a scaling option in the endgame. In 329, we're adding a special new set of exceptional skill gems called Pacts. Each pact is themed around a specific Beyond demon and Lycia. You can make a bargain with these demons to empower your spells. But at what cost, you may ask? Well, these spells don't have a typical cost, but instead cause the player to gain a special affliction debuff. Don't worry too much though, the rewards will be worth it.
We'll have to get the old
For example, Pact
reduce
of Baydat
or
causes
increase
many of your
debuff
different spells to just cause a
expiring.
ruckus. While Pact of Gore is for dot builds. Using this pact will plague your enemies. Just cast it and watch everything around you melt. I wonder what Pact of Lycia and Pact of Katash do. We won't go into the specifics of all the balance changes we are making here, but there are many more caster improvements, including buffs to specific spells and supports, buffs to caster unique items, as well as more and better ways to solve mana. Check out the patch notes later for all the details. Next up, we're going to be talking about the new supporter packs for Curse of the Allflame. Today, we're launching 2 new series of supporter packs, the Plague and Remedis packs.
They look kinda
Each
cool.
tier contains the pack's full face value in points, alongside several exclusive microtransactions. As always, the microtransactions in these packs are purely cosmetic and do not affect your character's power or progression in any way. The Plague series of supporter packs contains 7 exclusive microtransactions. Equipping the Plague weapon skin replaces the default appearance of your staff, sword, mace, or shield with a weapon that has been submerged in corrosive toxins. The Plague Rat Pet is the result of a nefarious experiment. When a unique enemy is nearby, it faints as a defensive mechanism to protect its fragile body so it can continue to spread disease. The metal of the Plague Bearer armor set has corroded, and the cloth has begun to disintegrate from being exposed to such toxic elements. It includes the Plague Bearer back attachment, which spreads disease across the ground in town areas, maximizing the chance of infection. A
Just in
diseased
town
swarm
areas, fair
infects your
enough.
weapon when using the Plague Bearer weapon effect. Use it alongside the Erupting Pustule's rare finisher effect to spread vile and devastating disease to monsters you kill. Activating the Plague Wraith map device causes the plagued energy to flow from the chained being. Given the goal of spreading such illness is to end the lives of as many as
Crazy
possible,
map device.
the map device tracks kills in kind, showing you the number of enemies killed in each map, sorted by rarity. Feel free to even pin the count of enemies slain in a map to the leaderboard at your leisure. Pair it with the Putrefying Portal to fully immerse yourself in the Plague Propagator experience. Both the map device and the portal emit such a potent putrefaction that even the birds flying overhead cannot survive, as they plummet to the ground around it. The Remedis Pack series also contains 7 exclusive microtransactions. The Remedis weapon skin changes the appearance of your staff, wand, scepter, or shield,
True.
with relics once used by the Order of the Remedis Knights against the plague.
Classic.
The Medi Roa Pet is kitted out with all the supplies necessary for healing in remote locations.
Oh, well, I'll get to add it to the
Strangely,
website.
these Roas seem to have a particular fondness for goblin meat. The Remedis Knight armor set is bestowed upon those tasked with
I like
traveling
that
through
set.
Rayclast to purge the sick of their diseases. The
pretty
matching
chill.
back attachment cleanses the disease left behind on the ground in town areas by the Plague Bearer back
That's cool.
attachment, It's an important job of a
interact with
Remedis
each
Knight
other.
to not let disease take over. Help by
that's
doing your
funky.
part. The Remedis Knight weapon effect funnels the divine power of purification into your weapon. Return to the Saints' End Monastery hideout
I
to
am
recuperate
liking
from
the
your
initial look of this
purifying
hideout.
duties. Once a thriving center for curing ailments, this monastery has slowly wasted away while lying unused. If you're feeling brave enough, there's even a platform to dive into the purifying waters below before washing back up at the base of the hideout. Last, but not least, use the Reservoir of Benediction Affinity Stash to store all of your elixirs. This stash opens to your stash tab with the Flask Affinity set.
Oh yay, a Flask
Additionally,
Affinity
all microtransactions from the supporter packs are
Thought that was
available
going to
for
be a
use
cool
in
map
Path of
device,
Exile
but
2.
no.
We're looking forward to seeing which of you choose to become the plague and spread disease across Rayclast, or those who wish to fight against it by becoming a Remedis Knight. Thank you so much for your ongoing support. We're just about to start the Q&A with Ziggy D. Afterwards, we'll post the full patch notes for Path of Exile, Curse of the Allflame, at 11 AM New Zealand time, 4 PM Pacific. With release at the end of next week, our community team will be posting crucial information you'll need for the release. Keep an eye on the news.
Neat.
Maybe I will very quickly hide my display and buy that pack. There we go. Just hiding so I don't leak any of my details. Actually, wait, no, I want to be buying it in PoE2 preferably. Let's see if they've added it to the store yet in PoE2. Packs. Yes, they have. Very good.
The Remedis Pack series also contains 7 exclusive microtransactions. The Remedis Weapon Skin changes the appearance of your staff,
Just double check
quarterstaff,
what part it's in. I
wand,
think it's definitely
scepter,
the
or focus, with relics once used by
highest
the
one.
Order of the
Yeah,
Remedis
same
Knights
hand.
against the plague. The Medi Rower is kitted out with all the supplies necessary for healing in remote locations. You can summon them either as a pet or as a Rower mount skin, or both. The Remedis Knight armor set is bestowed upon those tasked with traveling through Rayclast to purge the sick of their diseases. The
G'day
matching
Exiles,
back
and
attachment
welcome
cleanses
back
the
for another
disease
Q&A
left
for
behind on the ground in town
3.29.
areas by the
We are joined here by, it's a little bit cozier here than usual. We have Game Director Mark Roberts, along with lead game designers on Path of Exile 1, Octavian and Andrew. And Andrew, welcome. This is your first time
Thanks a
joining
lot
us
for
on
having
the Q&A. It's good to have you here. You have been on some other podcasts and things in the past before, but it's exciting to have you all here for the podcast. I kind of want to give people a bit of a lay of the land of like what it is that each of you, like Octavian and Andrew, work on for Path of Exile, so people can kind of understand where your expertise lies, maybe.
Yeah, so for Path of Exile 1, I've been working on it for primarily for quite a few years now. And typically I'll dip my hands into everything and related to the expansion. However, in the last few expansions, Chris has been handling the majority of the League stuff, and I typically handle most of the other bits and bobs. So yeah, for example, in this one, things like Mercenary and Legion and the balance, I would have had a hand in.
Yeah, and you certainly did a lot on the balance side of things. It looks like you did 150
Well,
skills or something.
when the patch notes come out, you'll see the changes there. So
It's a lot.
that's a later nuke. So
And what about for you, Octavian? What do you kind of focus on for people who are not familiar?
So the last few leagues, Mercenaries, Mirage, and now Curse of the Allflame, I've been, sort of leading the design on the league mechanic itself. And then basically wherever else I'm needed. So this time around, I did the new Abyss Pinnacle boss. So you can blame me if he kills you. I did a bunch of new uniques. Some transfigured skills that'll be in the patch because that's a pet project of mine. I really like transfigured skills, and probably some other stuff I'm forgetting. But yeah, I mean, mostly the league this time. It's a chunky one.
Yeah. I mean, that was where I was originally planning on starting, was like talking about Curse of the Allflame, where we collect chat's questions and then dive into some of the other things: Mirage, Abyss, Legion, balanced crafting. There's a lot of things to talk about today, but obviously the biggest news is the socket color change. It's the one everyone kind of seems to want to know about from what I've seen. It's a weird one because it's such a long-standing tradition, and there is like, I felt like the initial I feel like I should be mad or something, but I was like, but I'm not. I'm curious, like, how did this one come about after being unchanged for so long?
We actually discussed this change on Mirage launch day. So
Okay.
often on just to give some history to it. So on launch day, when there isn't a burning fire,
Nice.
we're all sitting there designing, like, okay, what are we doing next? What are we starting on a Monday? Like, I know people think we have a long plan ahead. We don't. Launch day is when we design the next set of content. And a thing that we decided is we worry the message now is that PoE 2 is for the new audience and PoE 1's for the existing audience only. And it is obviously for the existing audience, obviously. But we also want to make sure we're bringing in new players. And we want to make sure that that audience is growing. Because if you aren't growing the audience, it's only got one way to go, right?
Right.
That's down. Now, hopefully, you can... It'd be naive to assume it can just sustain the exact same numbers forever with the exact same players, right? People do eventually move on.
Yeah.
Whatever. So we want the audience to grow. And so when we actually go and look, well, when we were discussing this in Mirage, we're like, let's actually think, why are people, getting into the game and then stopping playing? Like, what are the points of friction and where we're losing the audience? And sockets is a huge one. Now, we had already discussed this for PoE 2 because PoE 2 removed skill gems off gear, right?
Yeah.
So we kind of already were a bit educated in this, and we're like, but the line we drew, like, some people were like, why not remove them entirely off the gear, like you did with PoE 2? But there are, I would say, I feel this way, and a number of people feel this way, when first playing PoE 1, or fifth, sixth, whatever, long time ago.
A decade and a half ago.
There were two things about the game that really caught me and my group of friends and propagated along, and maybe you guys feel the same way, I'm not sure, which was, I opened the passive tree and fell in love, and I also was like, holy, skills are in your gear and the links are in your gear. That is like, that's awesome. That's so, the innovation behind that is so cool. So not wanting to lose the skills and sockets in gear in PoE 1, I think is, it's a personal line, sure, but I think a lot of people share it, of not wanting to lose that entirely, but also it doesn't need to be having so many layers of friction. And so obviously you got the numbers, you got the links, and then you got the colors. And often what we're finding is that, sure, seasoned players, veterans, they work around it, sure. But, or honestly, they don't even necessarily, I talk about the gear upgrades, sometimes you don't even need the gear upgrades, you can just, once you know what you're doing, you know what you're doing. But yeah, we're finding a lot of players early game who are struggling, who are trying to get those gear upgrades, just can't, and often it's because of the colors.
Yeah.
And so we're like, well, we want to remove that friction, but also we don't want to just like simplify it down to nothing, because we still want in-game players to have an access of itemization that's important. And so we're like, we still want the colors to come in. We still want it to be important for upgrading your gear. We want it to be a chase in-game thing players can do. And we honestly think that this hits both of those. And
and now allows a lot of
Which
people
has,
to get
like,
into the game easier.
Dialas.
Make upgrades of their
or whatever.
gear
Yeah.
without going, I don't know what
Curious
to
if
do.
they'll do
Like,
anything
my
specific
gear's
there.
been the same since level 3.
Also,
because I can't replace this
Skin of the
with, like,
Lords
one
and
piece
Skin of
of
the
gear,
Loyal
another
now
piece
just
of gear.
insane.
And because
I
they don't want
guess.
to break their links or their skills or their support. So yeah, honestly, that's where it came about. And
Unless they make it so that
but the
they
broader
mostly drop
discussion
with
is, like,
white color
let's-
sockets now,
we
and
need
you
to
have
get
to get
people in the
lucky to
door.
get
We
colored
need to
ones.
get people to stop
maybe?
quitting. And we need to have like when they get overwhelmed and they're like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah,
It
of
feels
course.
complicated. And this was part of that. So, I wouldn't expect this to be the last change along that axis of us
Yeah,
going.
true. I guess so.
Let's
Probably.
remove these barriers of entry.
Makes sense if
In
they
the
did.
future, we want to make more. But yeah, honestly, I think, generally speaking, almost everyone internally has been pretty positive. But everyone has that, whoa, you're changing this sacred thing. And even we had it. When we were in the room, we're like,
Fucking
are we doing this?
Are we allowed to do this?
speedrunners are going to be so crazy
Do we need to...
now that they don't have to get certain
like, hold
colors.
on, do we need to like call a council of the founders here? Like, do we? What are we supposed to do here? Like,
Well,
can
I kind
we
of
make
heard
this
that
change?
basically did happen. Like, you guys called around to some of the other
Well,
people.
yes,
were
we
like,
did. Yes.
Yeah.
So it was even
Well,
we
to
were
be
like,
honest, the
are we
fucking
loud? But then
now
also I
getting
think
the
it
plus
is
10
really
quality
important
is
that we
probably
can reassess these
bigger
fundamentals and
impactful.
actually go and say, nah, this needs to change. Now, hopefully it's amazing, and hopefully everyone finds it to have less friction and late game get better itemization and all of that. But these things, if they don't quite land, we're always just going to make another iteration and change it. That's what we do.
I was like, so I've done a playthrough of the campaign while here, and I with this in particular, because I had that feeling like, oh, it's so sacred,
yeah,
and so
at least
ancient.
one, yeah.
I feel like I was coming at it from an
happy
angle of
days.
being hypercritical, looking for any potential issues with it, but it felt like it was just so much easier to change gear and sort my gear around. Like, ultimately, that's the thing. You talk about this for a lot for new players, but I see this as like a huge win
min-max
for
to get the rest of
long-term
them
players
colored,
because
but definitely just
I-
only really need the
playing
one.
a game for over a decade, you start to notice these kind of points of exhaustion is kind of what I think of them as, where you're like, oh, this just grinds me down a little bit each.
Oh,
Like,
Yeah,
that is something
on most of them,
it
for
was
sure.
intended for a newer audience, but 100% all
it's
the
pretty big
feedback
on,
from
like,
alpha, from internal,
More and less duration. It's pretty
our
massive.
designers and QA generally has been
There are a
like,
few that are
hell
like
yeah.
pretty
it just makes
impactful.
the campaign smoother. I'm using a greater variety of gear. I'm upgrading my gear more often. It feels good. And the quality one surprised me a bit because that is actually like pretty. You don't usually interact with quality at all in the campaign. You're not going to get any GCPs until end game, right? But that I was actually kind of looking at the quality on my gems, and I was like, oh, this really benefits from that. I'm getting an extra spark on my spark while I'm leveling, and that so that felt like actually a pretty fun thing to engage with, and getting one socket color here and there felt like a meaningful thing. So
It
Can't
worked
wait
out
to see
really
all
nicely
the-
as an
the
access
spell
for
changes.
still rewarding getting some of the
interesting.
correct colors.
Yeah.
Because quality innately is much more powerful on your active skill than it is your support gem.
Yeah.
So it's kind of okay if you only have a few of the colors because you put your strongest skill in the you put your strongest gem in your links, which is your active skill, into the color that it matches. And then it's nice to get the other colors correct, but getting the other colors correct is like 5% increased damage. Whereas getting the one color you really need correct, which is quite easy to do, is potentially an extra projectile or 10% more damage or something like that.
yeah, every time a chrome dropped, I was like looking for a good base to drop that on so that I could chuck my spark gem or something else in there.
It has
if
the
they've
added
made
bonus of there's
chromes
another currency that's like,
rarer or not.
it's not like a divine orb level ding when you drop it, but it's nice to see. You're excited to see a chromatic now and then.
Yeah, it was kind of
Which
funny
is
that
cool.
like chromatic went from being like less valuable than jewelers and fusings to being the
I wonder
most
if there'll still
valuable
be a
out of those now.
chromatic recipe.
Yeah, just to clarify,
selling.
chromatics are much rarer now than they were
Okay,
before.
yeah,
Yes.
they are.
I won't say exactly how rare they are, but we've made changes to, like, for example, if you vendor a 6-socket item that has chromatic colors, you won't get
was
7 jeweler orbs, you'll get a chromatic orb instead.
I was wondering if there was some sort of recipe. I thought you guys might keep it secret or something.
Oh no, that's the existing chromatic recipe. That still works.
Okay.
But it has higher priority than the jeweler's
Our
orb
list,
one.
our list of recipes, if it meets 2 conditions, there's always
see.
it has an order of precedence. So we moved the chromatic above the
Because it's more
jewelers.
valuable
Yes,
now.
yeah.
So that makes sense. Did you
I
guys have to
assume
mess with
that
quality at all? Now
rare
that
enough
there's
to
gonna
be worth
kind of
that.
30% is just going to be somewhat wildly available now? Like, does that break anything?
No, it is basically a bit power creepy. But
Yeah.
I think we had to make a number of changes to existing uniques that interacted with socket colors. But I think the only one that really got a nerf was Diala's malefaction. Instead of granting 30% quality to green socket gems, it's now 20%.
Okay.
But if you put a green socket gem in, it's 30%, which is what it had before. So.
And that's my follow-up question is there's uniques that interact with socket colors. Have these sorts of things been updated? In particular, I was like wondering, like, do you guys do anything with Tabula Rasa or just kind of leave it, I imagine? I don't know.
It didn't need to change.
Yeah, I mean, that one
it's
kind of just
six-link.
works, doesn't it?
Six-link, still a six-link, yeah.
Still 6-link.
Yeah, what Skin of the Loyal and Lords, they just generate with 6 coloured sockets.
Yeah.
Oh, the guaranteed color's nice.
You still want to get the right colours, but
Yeah, but it's much easier to actually use them now.
what else did you do? Pariah.
Yeah, so we audited all of them. Some of them we were like, this is not a good unique, we should buff it. So Pariah, for example, is one that is now much stronger than it used to be.
Interesting.
Yeah, there's subtle changes, but in general, like the design of the uniques didn't really need to change at all, like Triad Grip and the Untouched Soul, those type of things.
I just realized this makes like a favorite thing for me is like early league buying like a corrupted 6-link and finding the right colors for that was sometimes tricky, but now like you can use any, right? Because you can put a blue gem in a green socket, you just don't get the bonus.
Triad grips are going to be really hard to
league is going to be far more accessible now.
Yeah, cool.
fully colored though.
Interesting. So that inadvertently kind of makes 6-links much more available early league.
Also, I just don't know.
Something maybe you wouldn't even really think
Do the
about
whites,
with this, but there you go.
Yeah, in a
do the
way, yeah.
uncolored sockets
Alright,
count as
cool.
white sockets for the chaos conversion?
Bulbs did a thing with
And if
sockets.
so, you're still
I
going to have to
remember that
corrupt it
changed,
to get
right?
that like fully uncolored, I guess, because chromatics always guarantee a color.
When you do get a socket color, so
curious.
for example, if you're using like a strength base type, you still have, when a socket generates, it's still got a much higher chance to be a red socket compared to a blue or
still
green socket.
biases,
So
that's
it
good.
still rolls socket colors based on the attribute requirements. Now, a Val Orb does what it used to do before, where when it's generating socket colors, it can still re-roll socket colors.
Yeah.
I think instead of granting white sockets, now it does the inverse and it grants a colored socket.
so
But that colored
Okay,
socket
weird.
will just be a random red, green or blue. It won't care about the attribute requirements of the item.
So a way to get off colors or something, maybe. Interesting. I imagine the crafting bench probably changed.
So can you get
But then
4
again, with
white
chromes being more expensive,
triads
maybe
now?
didn't
I
make
don't
it.
know.
So a chromatic orb guarantees a colored socket,
Yeah.
but we also have crafting bench options which guarantee 2 colored sockets and guarantee 3 colored sockets, but for varying amounts of chromatic orbs. I can't remember the exact
And now
numbers.
that they're going to be much more valuable as well,
Yep.
that's that makes sense. It almost kind of solves itself there. Well, super interesting. I look forward to seeing how people feel about that after they've had a chance to play around with it. But, my impressions of that have been pretty positive so far.
I wonder if Farici
anything,
bench
like, I
crafting
guess if
can
there's
still
any
give
negative
you
I
a
could probably
color.
nitpick about it, it seems that maybe like it removes some of the identity from those items, mostly more in the campaign where you're not seeing their colors come up all that often. So like armor, energy shield.
Yeah, well, they said you
thing
can
is
force
not
the colors
necessarily
and
as
stuff, but I'm
distinct
just
from an
curious about
invasion
like
thing,
the
since you can
sockets. Like
change
if
them
you
around a
go
lot
2
more.
socket,
Is
3
that something you
socket, 2
guys are worried
socket,
about at
3
all with
socket,
this?
stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah, like if those new
really.
sockets can be colored or not.
Like,
A
get
little
enough of
bit.
their
I
identity from
understand that
their
it is, especially from the visuals.
Yeah.
But like the item holds itself, you know,
Yeah.
and with respect to its defense type, its mods. But yeah, I mean, I get that.
I
Almost
also wonder if
everyone. I'm
double
just thinking about
corrupting
it
all
now.
whites is now different.
I play with sockets always shown. I don't think I've seen anyone in a long time not play with sockets always shown. So I was just thinking that, like, generally when you're looking at an item, in fact, you're not really seeing its item art. You're just seeing some combination of colors. So yeah, generally you're going to be like, hey, this doesn't look how it used to look. But I would honestly say that that doesn't need to be part of it. So it shouldn't need to be part of its identity.
Nice.
Even though I get that it will feel that way, for sure.
Well, I know this was the main change for this expansion, but on the side, in your spare time between working on socket colors, obviously you made this thing called Curse of the Allflame. This is a pretty unique and I think delightfully goofy mechanic. It's definitely a weird one. At first I thought, it's delve but moist, but then that seems to be oversimplifying it a little bit because it's also got a little bit of a blend of other ideas and definitely seems to very much be its own thing. I'm curious, how did this idea for this like Subnautican League come about?
You know what? Strangely, it actually didn't even start from the point of we should go to the ocean floor.
True.
What I wanted was a league where, you know, you're exploring in similar sort of to the Wildwood, because I like that mechanic, but
Yeah.
like a league mechanic where you're exploring and trying to uncover things as you go. And it was originally going to be, I believe, like bestiary adjacent, where it was going to be in like the spirit realm where all the bestiary bosses are, and you're like clearing
Okay.
spirit fog. But that was not a thing that we had nearly the assets to be able to pull off nearly as well as like an ocean themed league, because you can, you know, go look at half the monsters in the game that pre-existed, and they're on the coast, or they're near the shore, or they're on an island, and therefore, you know, it's crabs and horrible squid creatures and starfish and all that. And so it just made a lot more sense to go with an ocean themed league. And from there, everything just kind of exploded into being.
Yeah, a lot of that also inspiring. Like the same mechanic can often be applied to many different themes in different ways, and so a huge part of the win there is talking about ocean biome assets, creatures. Well, we had just done Act 4, right? You know, so, and PoE 2, so all of a sudden we have islands and sea creatures and everything there, and it's like, okay, well, we like to reuse stuff and port it back and use so we get to use all the modern art. The other thing is the environment artists are familiar with those assets, so when they're trying to put together all these things, they know exactly, and the level designers, they know exactly where everything is. Makes it way easier, and then you don't have to like look through and find 13-year-old assets and stuff trying to go like, okay, how can I reuse this? And then, yeah, it's nice to have full art sets of modern art, because when you mix old things that aren't what we call PBR and non-PBR, when you have the old PoE1 assets intermixed with the new modern assets, they stick out like a absolute sore thumb.
Yeah.
So yeah, going in, obviously it's when you're picking a theme, it's often good to look, what art do we have? How can we use that or reuse that? Because then you get to make a hell of a lot more content for significantly less cost. So that's kind of what helped inspire it, because we also like, oh, I was like, and he doesn't necessarily know what's being made for PoE 2, and that's like where I'm kind of the bridge, and I'm like,
Yeah, because you're fully on PoE 1.
Yes.
Yep.
and he's like, well, what monsters? And I'm like, oh, well, let me give you that. And I was just like, massive list. I'm like, go to this area, go to this area, go to this area, any of these will work. Big starfish and all that stuff. And so,
Sea otters.
yeah.
I love otters.
otters.
So, very-
yeah,
The otters
so,
definitely caught me by surprise.
we had a task that we hadn't finished called Demon Otter.
yeah. You didn't even point me at that. I went and found that one.
Yeah.
I felt slightly bad blowing up the otters. They're kind of cute.
Well, you
Little-
can get one as a pet.
Yeah, I was gonna
That's
say,
the
I was
upcoming
hoping-
There you
book.
go.
I feel like
No, it's from Mystery Box. I thought it was going to be a Challenger League.
Going into our issue tracker and typing otter every 3 days.
Mystery
and,
Box
like,
otters,
waiting
fair
for
enough.
something to appear. It's like,
I refresh the issue tracker at the start of each day because I'm curious what's being worked on, and I saw otter like years ago,
Control F otter.
and it's stuck in my head.
He's got a script that just checks for him every day and alerts him, pings in the moment it goes in.
Hundreds of these things getting made per day. It's like kind of to just know to search for that is like really weird. So I don't know. I'm sus.
So, I mean, so you had some assets for it, but also like if you'd done the Wildwood Einhari sort of thing, that sounds cool, but it wouldn't have been quite as unique as this. I think. Like, I don't think we haven't had this like exploring the ocean floor thing before.
I got a question for you.
Sure.
Is this a real boat league?
I was wondering, yeah, because like you go into a boat, but we're not like what makes a boat league? Do you have to be? Does it just have to have a boat in it? Because that's a pretty low bar.
You have to be at ocean? Do you have to be
Fighting on-
I think some people draw the line at sailing. I think it has to be moving. I think you have to. I think they
Fishing?
They would say. Hold on, whoa.
We'll get to that in a second.
I think that a true boat league to some people is one that must induce seasickness. As in with like
that's your line.
screen wobble and like.
Not one for
Inevitable
you.
with the boat league, really.
This league.
Thank you for not doing that. I feel like the true boat league has to have combat on a boat. We're gonna have some boarding actions or something, like some boat to boat cannons and
Noted.
blowing up.
Third axis, yeah.
Isn't it a town area? I guess you can't like spawn specters or anything. And
In the Deepwater hub. Sorry, Deepwater was the working name. In the Curse of the Allflame hub area on the Sovereign.
You
is
can
the
drop
name of the
items
ship.
on the floor on the boat.
It
so,
is technically a combat area, so you could,
in theory.
spawn specters there if you wanted to.
Shoot projectiles out to sea.
I guess you can.
I guess.
Sorry, it was mentioned though, like, does this also count? The same question could be asked of fishing. Does this count as fishing if you're on the ocean floor killing fish? Does that count as fishing? And does this tread on the toes of the existing fishing mechanics, obviously, as well? You would have had to have considered that. Did you confer with the fishing team when you were?
I think that going down and killing fish is not fishing. I think that's...
But what if you're holding a spear, though? Oh, but we don't have spears, so it doesn't matter.
Perfect. Problem solved. So you're basically saying like dynamite fishing doesn't count as fishing then, for sure. It's
fishing
It is
PoE
important
too.
for us to clear up this because, like, we need to always be just almost delivering boat leagues, but not quite delivering boat leagues. So I just wanted to make sure we succeeded in our goals here.
There's this like grand plot of stringing along the PoE community for as long as possible for a boat league. Is like,
That's true. When I pitched the retheme, Mark was very cautious. You know,
like, oh, we don't want to give him too much. We got to keep him coming back for the next potential boat league. I see what's going on here.
Yeah, it's like there's this tick box of league must have boat, and then indented boat must not move. You know.
Okay.
No. All right. Anyway.
Anyway, so this is a pretty big change from Mirage, which was in map and heavily intersected with like all of the existing mechanics. This is the complete opposite. This is a mostly out of map mechanic, and it's not required for you to understand how it intersects with other mechanics. Is it? I imagine there's like a good reason to kind of like alternate between the two almost as well.
Yeah. So one of the benefits of Curse of the Allflame is that it's a very straightforward theme to understand. It's something that, you know, you don't really need to have a lot of grounding in the all of the minutia of Path of Exile to be able to understand, ooh, go to ocean floor and find treasure in a submersible. That's just a cool concept, whether you are, you know, a PoE veteran or not. And it's also just kind of me liking to jump between things and work on very different concepts. Like, you know, I can't say any specifics, but we already do have a very rough plan for what 3.30 will be, and it's going to go in a completely different direction as well. So I don't know. I just have a lot of ideas that go all over the place, and I
Good.
Very good.
we like to alternate these things, right?
Yeah.
Like often out of league, out of map leagues are, you know, they have room to be a bit more immersive. They have there's a whole world there.
Yeah.
You know, integrating things into map constrains what they can be. Right?
Yeah.
Like having a pocket of ocean in a desert gets a bit weird, you know, like, so certain things can work, certain things can't. I mean, in the same sense that kind of having a desert as Mirage in an oceany biome can feel, well, more like a forest biome can feel a bit weird, you know, like, it allows you to create a more, immersive world. Submersive world.
I see what you did.
Submersive,
Yeah.
immersive. I don't know. I'm silly.
Now, there are some lessons that have been taken from previous like out of league mechanics, where obviously the biggest one is that the Atlas tree is this method of investment that can, you know, lead to in Atlas content being able to be juiced to the gills, so to speak.
Yeah.
And we need a system that's, you know, at least in, what's the word I'm looking for here, in analog to that.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the voyage system, which we can get into in specifics a little bit later, but it's got multiple axes through which you
Why
can
is
juice
Octavian's
the
microphone
content that
so
you're doing
high?
to get,
It's up
you know,
with his
some
glasses.
quite rewarding voyages. And it's kind of meant to be the one-to-one allegory to that. Sorry, analog.
Yeah, it's working
Yes,
fine.
Yeah.
but
That
it's
was
just
going to be one of my follow-up
interesting.
questions. Is because you have so many like axes to juice things in maps. How do you make sure that something like this has like a nice long tail to it? That is something you can get as invested in. So this has like some nice ways for you to be able to juice it.
And I mean, one of the other things is we have much more gradation in the level scaling. This is maybe getting too into the weeds, but like the mods that can roll on charts, there's a whole tier of the highest tier of rewarding mods that can only show up on I-83, I-84 charts.
Oh, okay, cool.
So if you are at the end game, then you get access to like even more rewarding, you know, both charting and voyaging. And then there's some border mods that can only roll at the super high levels as well. And then, you know, those border mods can amplify with the chart mods, can amplify with the adjacency mods, can amplifay with the chart locations, which I'm getting too into the weeds now because we haven't really discussed any of that. But I like, you know, I'm a PoE 1 player at heart. I like lots of axes that all intersect and overlap and turn into a crazy encounter.
Yeah, and when you make something like this that is out of maps, there is like I feel like you guys expect and fully kind of know ahead of time that, oh, this is going to be more divisive than something that is in maps typically, right? Like, this is something that is for the players that are going to love it, is kind of the way that I view it. It's like some people are going to be like, oh, this is my life now, like the people who just delve every league. So I imagine then, how does that kind of like shape the design of this? Like, are you able, I imagine you're like able to take more risks or something with it, be a bit more crazy with it to try and suit that?
I wouldn't say necessarily. Honestly, the way it generally comes apart is we're just like, that sounds like a cool idea, let's go with it. We don't really even think about the like overall risk and reward. Like, we just imagine a lot of like, we would enjoy it. We imagine a lot of people would enjoy it. And yes, we definitely understand it's going to be more divisive. And that's why we make sure we alternate these types of leagues, or at least we thoroughly try to. And as said, 330 will be an in-area mechanic in map.
One of the other things that I'm definitely making sure is the case in 330 is there will not be a loading screen to do the league mechanic. I like Mirage, I like Allflame, but they have both now, you know, to go to the hub area for Allflame, you need a loading screen because obviously it's out of map. And then Mirage needed one too, which was unfortunate.
To be clear, charts are fully tradable.
Yep.
You don't have to run them, you just stockpile them. Right, and then go, like, you can do days of mapping and then go do days of charting. The crafting system's kind of crazy, powerful. You know, like,
but we won't be nerfing
you know, a way that it can be thought about as you get in Hinakora's locks.
Yes.
Why do you have to put it like that? You make me nervous.
Because that's what it is. And, you know, so there is a very, very strong motivation to do it. And hopefully people were like, hell yeah, feels good doing it because of that. But we like to, even when we do out of area, in this case, it's not like you find it, you have to do it. You can find it, you run it later at your leisure, right? So you don't have to break your mapping flow all the time. Get the chart, move on, map, and then maybe start the next day with, let me go do a bunch of charts, do a bunch of voyages, right? Like, that's fully at your leisure. You can... that's generally how people play, and it's generally how I play. Alpha, we're seeing the same thing. It's like, just, you know, you have those people who might want to chart as they find them. You might have people who are like, okay, get to end of Act 1, do a bunch, you know, just talking about a campaign. And having the freedom to be able to do all of that is pretty critical for the out-of-area leagues, I'd say.
Yeah, it seems like it's very free for you to determine your flow about how you engage with this. And for the map blasters then, who maybe like, oh, I don't really want to go do the charting and stuff too much, it has something for you in maps as well. Like, I think that's easy to miss.
I mean, obviously the bulk of the mechanic is the undersea exploration, but there are 3 different encounters you can find in maps that are what grant the charts. And importantly, I wanted each of them to feel like they were, you know, worth engaging with, even if you didn't want the chart. So there's the Cursed Treasure Chest, which we showed in the live stream, that possesses you with a random tormented spirit when you complete it.
That's a fun one. I like that.
For the rest of the instance. There's a Brine Rot Pirate one, and when you complete that, you get a buff that gives you a chance for any gold you find for the rest of the instance to be duplicated when it drops. And there's the Crab Nest, and when you defeat the Crab Nest, whenever you kill rare and unique monsters for the rest of the instance, you spawn crabs.
You spawn crabs.
Which may not sound useful, but it's very good in Beyond maps.
It's a bunch of extra crabs popping out as you do it. And I mean, more monsters popping out of monsters is definitely some people's jam for sure.
Crabs.
Lots of crabs.
Oh man, there's a crab themed unique that we're going to show host in a teaser that I'm really excited for people to see. I'm sorry, I'm just baiting people by bringing that up. It'll be soon.
What's this thing? I got to make sure to equip the crab armor set when we play this.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's got to be done. Yeah, I saw some pretty cool looking uniques there, but you know, we can leave those for your teasers and stuff because there's some pretty. You're definitely pushing what uniques can be in Path of Exile 1, I think, a bit, which is exciting to see. But you mentioned this like the crafting system. How does the reward structure for this mechanic works outside of maps in the actual charting and voyaging? Do
I'm gonna sacrifice so many doppelgangers, guys. Is trying to get that mod on other pieces.
So again, this is another point where I wanted to make sure there were multiple axes. So there's the Dead Man's Sulfur, which is the coral green glowing stuff that's in every single chart and voyage that you do. And that's the fuel for powering the new crafting system. And that is fully tradable. So that's like the baseline. This mechanic just rewards this all the time. And then there are special charts that you can find that lead to special things on the ocean floor that can give, any number of, arbitrary rewards, whatever we decide. So there's one that just has tons of chests of currency, which I'm sure people will like. There's one that spawns, as you saw in the live stream, a new kind of mercenary that you can only get from that room. There's one that leads to the, the new boss of the league. There's probably a bunch that I'm forgetting. There's a dozen to 24 of those at least, and we do have some that might not make it into the patch, and we would put in a week later if they don't. So there might even be more coming soon after launch. And then the third thing is there's what we call a scattered object system in the league, and this is why I'm personally really excited to play, because it scatters a bunch of predetermined random rewards, like chests of currency, or a chest with a unique, or the message in a bottle that we showed on the stream that you open and it just gives you some random valuable unique, or potentially I think a reflecting mist is what we showed. Essences, strong boxes, golden lanterns that give you permanent rarity for the rest of the instance, tons of stuff. We tried to get dozens of outcomes in there, and those are just scattered on the ocean floor, and they give you the feeling of exploring to try and find stuff. You're not going completely blind though. Every lantern that you place has a little indicator on it, and that indicator will point towards the nearest scattered object, nearest reward you might want. So you know where to go to place the next lantern to find a treasure chest or whatever it might be.
Yep. Yeah.
Something different to say the Wildwood, where you just go, I'm going that way.
Yeah.
This one at least gives you a guidance to go, I'm going to find something if I go over here.
Yeah. Now you don't know what the something is necessarily. It could be an essence monster or a strong box or a chest with a unique in it, but it will be something that you would want. It doesn't. Technically, there are also mines on the seafloor that explode when you step on them. They're not very frequent. The lanterns don't point at those.
Okay. Yeah, you're not getting fully baited.
I thought that's what you were getting. I was like, they better not point at those.
Yeah, you're implying there's some sort of reward to get.
No.
Yes, some sort of reward, sweet release.
As again, the comparison to Wildwood there is that it ensures a minimum. You're getting something out of it.
Yeah.
As long as you follow it, as opposed to like placement of lanterns, you're like, I just RNG'd and got nothing.
I mean, for me, it's the most addicting part of the league. Like, I love going in and, you can do a chart in like a minute, maybe two, depending on how fast your build is.
They're really fast.
They're quite quick.
Yeah.
And so you go in, you find 2-3 chests, and then you rush back out, and you do it again, and then suddenly an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours has gone by.
Yeah, and I very much noted and appreciated that you did the week 1 quality of life patch before release with the auto placing of lanterns if you want. So you can manually place them, or you can just run into the water and it
that was done months ago. That was done well before release.
We're trying to do that though every league. Like always think, okay, what are people going to ask for on day 1, day 2, day 3, or week 1? What do they need? And like, let's get ahead of it and do it now. We don't catch everything, but
Yeah, you can't do an extent, can you? Yes, but you're definitely getting better at that, though. Has it been a bit tricky to kind of get the feel of this right? Like, so you've got this thing where you're like pushing these lanterns out, and then you've got the bubble collapsing thing for the extraction as well. Like, it seems like a challenging thing to kind of get the feel for that right.
Yeah, I mean, it's had a lot of iteration. The collapsing part, I do want to specify because, it's something that comes up a lot in conversations I've had with, journalists and people at the office and all that. The lanterns will never start just randomly collapsing on you. Like,
yes.
you know when they are going to begin to collapse, because they only begin to collapse after you place your last lantern.
Yeah, it's not like flares and delve.
Yeah.
Like,
so
that's
you have,
distinction.
You have infinite time to explore the areas that you've placed lanterns in until you place your last one, and then you have to get back to the bathysphere.
Yeah, and it's not really like a rush clear speedy mechanic ultimately. Like, you can do it fast. You can go fast, but it's not like
like I said, people on alpha generally are doing a chart in like a minute or less.
But
pretty forgiving.
Yeah.
Which it kind of has to be, right? Like, if it is if it's overwhelming for any of us, we've probably got the balance wrong, because someone's going to come into the game and just be like, I don't know what to do. Like, it is a thing where, rewatching the live stream, I'm like, oh yeah, I could see people being worried about just drowning all the time.
No.
And
drowning is not meant to be a significant part of the mechanic. If you're dying in the Allflame encounters, I would hope that you're dying to the monsters, and not to drowning. And that is generally the case whenever, I've died when playtesting, and also when I've seen, players playing on alpha and stuff. Drowning is really, it really only ever happens if you are being like playing real dangerous and like, you know, trying to go out far into the water to try and get a chest or something, which is part of why we have those lanterns pointing at things, so you know where to place the lantern to get the chest, in order so you don't have to be trying to do like rippy dangerous stuff by going out into the water a whole ton.
You'd have to have a serious panic, which to drown is what my perception. Like when I'm like, how would someone drown to this? But it will happen, I'm sure. But I think you'd have to be having a little miniature crisis in order to have that happen, I'd say.
I feel like you'll do it once and then you'll learn from it. But if you're a hardcore player, I guess you'll lose one character and then...
I only drowned once and I was like, oh, that was a bit silly. I won't do that again. That seems like something to learn from. There seems like there could be a bit of a risk of backtracking with this. Like, people don't really, enjoy long backtracking. But I noticed with the charts, you can kind of a lot of the time you're placing your things in a circle, so you're not really backtracking so much. You end up where you started anyway. But with the voyages, there might be some backtracking or maybe not, depending.
So I feel I don't want to sound like I'm overemphasizing this too much, but the charts are quite small.
Yes.
Like by the time you've placed all, you get 7 lanterns once you upgrade your lantern count. By the time you've placed all 7 lanterns, you are maybe a couple screens away from where you started, maybe a little bit further than that if you go out in a full straight line. So the charts are meant to be like really bite-sized encounters. So like there is technically a small amount of backtracking there, but that is with monsters spawning as you're going back, and it's a couple screens worth.
There's a big difference between combatless backtracking and just...
Yeah, you're fighting monsters as the bubbles are collapsing around you. It's like it's an actual kind of exciting gameplay thing, and it's not even necessarily always the case. I noticed because in the Voyage sometimes you're extracting basically where you are as you're leaving.
Yeah, so the voyages, they're built out of 9 different charts that you kind of stitch together, and each of them at their center has a place where you can leave. So you don't have to backtrack to where you started in a voyage. That would be insane and terrible. You get to leave at each of these individual chart locations, and like I said, the charts are relatively bite-sized, so that means you're never really more than, say, a screen and a half distance away from a place where you could leave when you want to go.
Yeah. Awesome. So this Allflame crafting, how did you arrive at giving players like 4 Hinokora locks per craft as your crafting system for this league?
Well, actually, originally it was going to be similar. I want to say similar to Harvest. I don't want players to interpret that as like, similar in power level. It may or may not be. But I mean similar mechanically, as in list of specific bespoke crafts that you can do for list of specific costs of that craft.
Yeah.
But the problem with that is it was just too similar to things we've done in the past. You know, it is essentially Harvest, but wet. And that's not, we had actually gotten relatively far along in the development of that. And I was just like, this is lame. We shouldn't do the same thing again.
Yeah.
And so, the idea for the Allflame crafting splitting into different forms came from the fact that originally we were using the terms Allflame and Ghostflame kind of interchangeably in development. And ghost stuff gave me the idea of what if you split into multiple ghostly versions of the item, and what would that mean?
Okay, all right.
So it kind of came theme first, mechanic second.
It's thematically real cool. Yeah, I remember when you came to me and you're like, yeah, this crafting system sucks, we need a new one, and then you had a pitch, and I was like, this is a good thing. Like, some people get very caught up in their original designs and just try and see it through no matter what, and you just you go down into a vortex.
You're in too deep,
and you're like, loss aversion kicks in, and like, to be able to, as a designer, to be able to just be like, nah, gone, starting again, even if you're like 3/4 into the cycle, if that's what's best, that's what's best. And most people fail at being able to do this. So it's like,
nice.
When you came to me for that, I was like, wow, okay, this is cool. I'm happy.
I did feel bad telling our lead programmer for the league, Jeremy, that, your work, we're actually going to be changing it. Though a good amount of the infrastructure was able to be kept, because it is still UI-wise very similar, where you like put in item, click craft to go. It just, changed to now you also put in a currency with the item that you want to use it on, or use on it.
So the main part of it is this splitting so that you can use an Exalt or something and then see 3 or 4 different potentials for that, and then choose your best one. And that's obviously very powerful, especially for some of the bigger crafts. the intangibility system is kind of the counterpoint to that, like some sort of limitation on that. How does that work exactly?
Yeah, so not every single crafting step, but many of the crafting steps you can do, for example, in Exalt, will add some amount of what we call intangibility to an item. And it's just a value that will be shown on the item and ticks up. And the intangibility in the item is equal to a chance when you do another Allflame craft on that item for it to only have one result, which effectively means you just did the craft with no extra bonus. So basically, what it boils down to is the more you Allflame craft on one specific base, one specific item, the more and more and more difficult it becomes to continue to Allflame craft on that item. And there are some ways around this that clever people in QA and Alpha have found that, you know, things like recombination, because if you take the mod you're trying to chase on the base that has high intangibility and you put it onto a new base that doesn't have that intangibility, now you can keep going, but there's some risk in that at least. And then, you know, Awakener's Orbs do a similar thing where it's, you know, creating an entirely new base as the output. And there's also a Ducat, which is the new currencies that we've added that interact only with Allflame crafting, that has a 50% chance to remove all your intangibility and a 50% chance to destroy your item.
Gotta have it.
Gambling is fun.
Yep. I guess on that note, the gambling side of things, it seems like the Varl Orb won't work with this.
No, it does not.
What's the reason for that?
It's both a case of balance because it's one of the ones that would be most insanely strong. We've tried to limit it as little as possible. I would say 95%, maybe even 98%. I don't have the exact numbers. Something like that. High 90s% of currencies work with this. But also for me, I understand this is very subjective. Some people may disagree with this take. For me, it's a theme thing as well. Like, I really don't like this super special Vol magic just kind of working with weird ghost magic that doesn't hew together well in my mind, but that is very much me alone who is holding that subjective take.
Even just taking that whole random unpredictability and turning it into, like, for normal mod, like Exalting, for example, sure, there's going to be some good outcomes, but for the fact that you can take that whole risk out of the Varl Orb, or like most of it, it's honestly just a bit demeaning. Like I'll tell you, you would never use a Varl Orb
for sure.
aside from this way.
Yes.
With this being the case. So that in itself is kind of bad. Now, however, I was like, if we had time, which we didn't, I was like, have it do something else. You put it in here and the two magics collide and who knows what happens.
You cross the beams.
The Varl Orb just says it modifies unpredictably, so, you know, you won't be lying if it did something unpredictable in some other different way, but that was, you know, hopes too high kind of situation. It was too difficult.
One other, I know this isn't pertaining to a specific question you asked, but one other thing I want to make sure is getting across, because it was too in the weeds to go into in the live stream, is it is performing that craft on the original item X number of times, which means the outputs are independent of one another. So if I have an amulet that I'm trying to annul, for instance, I could have each output, it's unlikely, but each output could annul the same mod. Like the outputs do not care about one another.
Right,
so in theory, with an Exalt, you could Exalt the same mod on all the outputs. That's stupid unlikely, but it could happen.
So if that happens, don't add us. It's not broken.
That is how it is meant to work. It is doing the crafting step of the currency item on the original item X number of times.
It doesn't mod block itself, effectively.
Yeah, that makes sense for sure. So the main part of it is this like splitting into separate things, but there is some unique stuff to it as well that can occur to items like
well, that's mostly the Ducats, which you can kind of just think about each of them as a new bespoke individual currency.
Okay.
So there's the one that's like
with this.
There's the one that's like you take an item with an attribute roll and turn it into another attribute roll. You know, strength becomes int or whatever. So those are basically, we had a bunch of ideas for the original Harvest-esque version of the system, and some of them had been implemented and some of them were just cool ideas, and it's like, where can we keep that? Okay, we just make new currencies that drop from the League mechanic that work with Allflame crafting.
Nice, there you go. Transported them over. There's a question from chat about reflecting mist with the new crafting system. I imagine that'd be like Varl Orb and that it wouldn't work, but
anything that's actually one of the few limitations. Anything that outputs more than one output does not work with Allflame crafting because it simply can't.
Because it would.
There's nowhere to put them.
You'd need like a bunch of 2 items.
You'd have inventories all over your screen.
You put a Mirror of Kalandra in and then you only get 1 item back. So
Okay.
Technically, this is not something that anyone should do, but technically a scouring orb works
Why? Why?
if you want.
If you want, I guess. So I'm gonna do that.
Sure.
Why not?
Send some sulfur for just throw away sulfur because you're rich.
That
Just
base
burning
type,
money.
that's exactly the same as that base type. Look, nah, this one looks better than those ones.
Yeah, so I think I'm gonna take number 3. Maybe. Can have any one of those you want as long as it's scoured. A side note, thanks for the attribute swap mechanic as well. Like I saw the Ducat for that swaps attributes. One of my favorites is the resistance swap. It's just like fantastic addition for like gear puzzle solving and for making it easy to like swap your gear with stuff you find as well. Like there's a lot less gear lock in with the resistance swap, and I think attributes will help that too. I kind of wonder if there's like other things like this that might exist. I can't think of any, but
Isn't there in PoE 2 something that allows you? Maybe I'm wrong and this didn't make it in. Which, in that case, I'm sorry. But something that allows you to swap like cold damage on a weapon to being fire damage.
Yeah.
yeah, there
So
is
that would be the one other case. That's not quite the same though, because that is more
yeah.
changing the identity of a build than it is just solving a problem in a build.
Yeah, I kind of view the attributes and resistance as that problem solving sort of thing for sure.
No, the attribute one is actually slightly more interesting because what it allows you is if you have a strength body type, then you can swap it to dexterity or intelligence, which is like technically something you can't actually do.
See, I would have expected it to obey the rules still, where it like can't do that, but you can actually just swap them to any.
Nah, it's the Allflame.
It's like older
Yeah,
combinators.
it's the Allflame doesn't care about
No
the rules.
rules. Aside from
Except the rules that it has.
Except for Valorbs and yeah.
I guess the one caveat is that it doesn't work with hybrid attribute rolls. So it won't do anything with all attributes because there's nothing to swap it to, and it won't do anything with things like that give plus 10 strength and dexterity. It only works with, giving one attribute, turning into giving one of a different type.
Yeah. So let's change topics a little bit here to Mirage, which was announced to not be going core in 3.2.9. But is it something that you'd like to go core in the future? I don't know if you already announced anything about that.
Short answer is yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you seemed pretty keen when I was talking to you about it.
We
before.
almost always let a league simmer. There's a few reasons for that. We like to have our, this is a more production internal thing, but we like to have our live realm be as close as possible to our internal realm.
Yep.
Right? And so if let's say we're having to make fixes to the live realm, we have to be open to be able to make fixes to the live realm. So if all of a sudden we've redone the code base to not be a league and instead it's now core, we've made all these changes and everything, the capacity for us to then fix things on live becomes significantly harder.
So, yeah.
So that's like the production. So that doesn't matter in the latter 2 months of a cycle, but in the first 2 months, it would be like, we don't really want to do that. Otherwise, we don't have the capacity to respond to things going wrong on live. It's safe to say after 2 months, not as much goes wrong. But then you've only got 2 months to now do all the changes on top of the fact we've got this to prepare, we've got all the other content coming in. So like adding that in itself just causes some problems for us where we're like, oh, now we have to, how can we figure out how we can make these changes and get them on live without having what we are committing to internally be even close to what's on live? And so that's a more like, it's something maybe the players don't really often think about because it's really a problem exclusive to us internally. But yeah, like the league worked. I think the other problem you were mentioning as well, I heard you bring up, was like the fact that it's multiplicative with everything and affects every league. It's like, are we going to sign ourselves up for the maintenance here? You know, similar, like Reliquarian, but more.
I guess I do want that maintenance. I want Mirage in the game.
Nice.
But I want to do it in a way, I want to make sure that we have assessed it so that it's done in the way that is the least hampering to future development of leagues. Because if every league going forward that appears in maps needs to interact with Mirage, which it will need to because it'll feel lame if it doesn't, then we need to make 100% sure that however we're implementing Mirage now doesn't, continue to pester us and bite us in the ass for the next, 15 leagues that we make. So I think it's very important that we, carefully take the time with its implementation.
There's even the question of should the active league get manipulated by Mirage, or will that make Mirage feel 100% mandatory because the active leagues in every area, and so you're kind of like, it's getting into that realm of like when we had passives for the active league on the tree and they felt mandatory because it was always there, and it's like, got to be careful with that. So probably not, unless you can do it in a way that's flavorful and not necessarily rewarding. But it will come. There's some decisions we need to make and time to do it, of course. That's always the main constraint, time.
There is another question of if Mirage is even like an investable mechanic on your Atlas tree. Like we could implement it similar to like the Asmeri Forest, where it's just something that randomly appears in your maps and then...
It almost sounds like that might be a better idea for this one, because like it's really good news that it's going core. People seem to really like Mirage quite a lot. But it is one of those things that it seems like it has a danger of becoming like, there's an issue in PvP at the moment with like cities feel like they're mandatory. Like you have to have, like if you're going to do your juiced content, you've got to do it in this thing because it's just so much stronger. So I could see the same thing being with Mirage. It's like, oh, you're crazy to not do that. And then it becomes another tier 17 kind of issue where it's like, oh, you need to do your juiced in that, or you're just wasting it.
Yeah, I feel like the Asmeri Forest sort of avoids that problem because you don't know about it. And if you're investing lots of like very expensive scarabs into it, then it's not like you're going to just keep fishing maps until you find it.
Yeah, hopefully. And it's just it's just a super exciting win when it does happen. It's not something you can plan around necessarily. So I imagine that's probably the route.
I suspect most people really just want to know when they're getting their shrine belt back.
Yes, and that was my follow-up questions is like, with that not going core just yet, but maybe in the future, in the meantime, there's a few things that people are pretty excited about. We'll start with Screams of Desiccated then, like the...
So, the uniques will not be going core just yet. There are a few other bits and pieces from Mirage that will be going to core, though. Just earlier this week, I added Atlas passive support to Heist for the blueprints that have the special implicits that guarantee certain rewards at the end of blueprint wings. I think Andrew did some stuff as well.
Yeah, so in
Please
sort of
don't.
like
Keep the
volatile
cool
valves are
balance.
super cool.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want
Balance,
to
please.
just...
Yeah.
I think what we'll do is we've currently moved them to Sanctum, so it's a way of making Sanctum more rewarding.
Sanctum.
A bit more unique as well.
And I feel like if Mirage goes core, we will probably keep Volatile Valobs as a Sanctum exclusive reward.
Right, yeah.
The other one that we moved was the Crystallized Rancor. That was the one that enabled all the new, like, the minion harvest craft that comes from a new Atlas anomaly. I think it was in the live stream, there's like the big harvest is returned. So when you get a boss in one of those, they always drop the Crystallized Rancor.
Nice, cool. And this is letting you kind of make these things a little bit more distinct as well, which has always been a goal, to give each thing their own rewards.
We are doing more and more and more of that, and people, you can see that with like Legion and stuff like that. So, by the way, and we have a goal there, which is ultimately two things, one of which is certainly more ambitious. But the idea would be that every single league that you can invest into, as opposed to ones that exclusively randomly spawn necessarily, every single league you invest into has exclusive rewards.
Yep.
That is goal one. Goal two is every single league you can invest into on the Atlas in particular has a pinnacle boss. And that's the way more ambitious. We will see if, like, so going there with Abyss now as an example, and the idea that eventually we will add more and more and more and more of them. That one, of course, is significantly more difficult to achieve. So I would expect more leagues to get exclusive rewards, and I would expect less leagues to get bosses in the short term, but eventually that would be the ideal goal.
Awesome.
Some already have them, some... And by the way, I wouldn't consider Beast Series 4 Spirit Beasts a pinnacle boss. No. Like, they're just some animals that are ghosts. Like, it's not, because it's too dated, it's too old.
Yeah. I mean, there's even some more recent leagues that don't quite live up to that. I would love to explore what a Mercenaries of Charthus pinnacle boss means.
Ooh,
no promises anytime soon, but just personally, I would love to see what that even is.
Yeah, of course. I've got ideas.
Looking forward to seeing what those are. Refracting Fog is getting asked about for Mirage as well. Is that something that's going core in some way?
Unless you did something along those lines, Andrew, I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure all of the other Mirage exclusive currency is cooling off for a league. So the Refracting Frog and all the Coins of Power, those type of things.
There's a waiting until kind of Mirage goes core.
Yep, and we'll reevaluate then if we want to keep them in Mirage, keep them in the game, or move them somewhere else.
I know we had a bit of a track record of saying things will go core, and then they, we got now we've got Mirage on the list, we've got Harbinger on the list. Then the others that are we had Mercenaries on the list.
Toda, maybe.
Yeah, Toda was one.
Sort of. But the idea is, we were like, okay, we're getting too many things that we're saying we will eventually do. Let's actually try and do some of them. And then we're like, okay, Mercenaries is the one, so that at least we're getting that done. I want people to be reassured that we're not just building up an eternal list of stuff we're never bringing back. And I will at least say we are actively working on Harbinger, right? I don't want people to think that's ignored. So just before everyone, I don't know why that would come up again, but just saying, these things are coming. We're not just doing a soon TM situation.
You touched on Abyss as well, and so that's getting a pretty major rework with some nice gameplay updates there. But something that you touched on was that rewards are PoE1 structure, though, like they're not being copied over from PoE2.
Yes and no. So Abyssal sockets, Stygian vises, Abyssal jewels, those all still exist and exclusively come from Abyss.
Great.
However, the chests that spawn at the, like rise up out of the ground when Abyss is complete, those are more varied now. So it's no longer just like, here's a rare chest that drops stuff. It's, it's a currency chest or a scarab chest or a, weapon chest or an armor chest or a jewelry chest. Like it's more defined each time. So you get, and that's just better, to be honest. Like that's, having the more defined rewards gives you those moments of, oh, I got a scarab chest. And even when it isn't the case, maybe when you're leveling, you might Act 6 or something, be excited to see a weapon chest when your weapon is kind of crappy.
And did I hear there's like a bunch of new uniques with this as well?
There are 6 and a 7th that people can find.
6 and the 7th.
Some secrets.
I think
So wait, the 6 can't be found?
No, a 7th that people can uncover how to get. Let's put it that way.
And just to be clear, I realize this is a little bit confusing in hindsight. There is a new pinnacle boss. There are still the liches.
Yep.
They are still there.
Sorry.
And they still have their drops, so it is entirely new pinnacle means new uniques, and a mysterious one.
And the Delve, this is maybe a little
Secret one,
hyper specific, but the Delve Abyssal City still has the old Abyss monsters if you're feeling nostalgic.
Oh, okay. Nice. In case you missed those. I did feel that about Breach a little bit at one point there, so that's nice to hear. People are a bit worried about things like invulnerable snakes and weird smoke cloud mechanics coming over as well with this change. That's kind of that's the potential downside of what is like otherwise a very exciting thing. Is that going to be the case here?
I arguably spent too much time. Not arguably, definitively spent too much time on the Abyssal monsters as we ported them back, giving most of them new skills.
Yep.
Entirely. Like,
okay, yeah.
I just really like making monster skills, and I was like, hey, I can do this quick because it's done in bang this out in 2-3 weeks. It was not 2-3 weeks.
You came to me one day and you're like, I've made a mistake. I've spent too long on the Abyss monsters. I'm like, okay, wrap it up, stop, move on. Right? Like, what can we do?
But they do have new skills.
Great.
There's no breakdancing invulnerable snake woman. Which is a sentence that I get to say as part of my job. And now you get to learn what the new skills are that the Abyssal monsters will have for you in PoE1.
That's excellent news, and that's making the games more distinct while like taking some of the good stuff from PoE2, but keeping PoE1 its own thing. That's really cool.
That was kind of the original impetus. That, and I do personally like working on monster skills, but I personally very strongly feel that when we're taking from PoE2, which is a thing we should definitely do, if we don't, then we're not going to have the resources to deliver big enough, cool enough leagues. We should do as much as we can to make it feel distinct in PoE1.
So you might see a monster that looks familiar, but it's going to do all different things.
Oh yeah,
it's exciting.
Reuse the art, adjust the game design is generally the philosophy there, right?
Yeah, why wouldn't you? That makes perfect sense. Absolutely. So another I was kind of surprised about just how much stuff was going on in this, because you also have a Legion kind of set of improvements as well, with a whole new reward system for that, which is exploring something that you've been doing a bit of lately, which is being able to modify uniques, which is always kind of exciting and interesting. So what unique modifiers can be ported over to a new item with this new Legion unique crafting system?
Drew's territory?
Well, to clarify first, there's 5 different crystals that can drop. Each of them is associated with one of the Legion factions.
Okay.
So, for example, the Mariketh faction drops one that allows you to enshroud your unique body armor items.
Okay.
So it's only armors. You can't do it on jewelry, you can't do it on weapons. So you have shields and gloves and helmets and boots as well.
Yeah.
But you can enshroud any unique armor in the game that isn't corrupted, I don't think. So you can take boss uniques, like
Doppelgangers.
You can't create boss uniques.
no,
No.
you can't create boss
No,
uniques.
yeah, that
You
would
can go
be.
from
can
boss
boss
unique.
yeah,
not
you
to
wouldn't
You
want
can
that.
take a mod from a boss unique, and it's effectively like you applied an ancient orb to the item. So
Yeah.
it will randomly transform into a new core drop pool unique, like a lightning coil or something.
That's so cool.
And the implicit will be the boss unique.
That's so cool.
Or one of the mods, yeah.
And that is an implicit, so it competes with like Val orbing.
Yeah.
This is an alternative to Val orbing.
Yeah.
Unique.
I might be jumping ahead here, but I will say, well, I'll say at the moment we've done a big pass on Val implicits. So Val implicits also are much stronger than before.
We will explore that a little
Yeah.
bit in
So-
crafting for sure.
It's not entirely super duper power creep, but you'll definitely there'll be some combinations of these unique items that you'll be really looking for.
Cool. Don't worry. We'll touch on that in a bit.
The balance of the vestigial uniques, the balance is not. It's not like 1-to-1, right? It's
Where we can keep it 1-to-1.
oh yeah, of course.
We try to keep it 1-to-1, but for example, something like Comb's Heart, we aren't sending 1,000 life across to the
Hadn't
new
even
item. I
considered
think it's like
1,000 life lightning
I
coils.
think
That's
it's
a lot,
like
though.
yeah, it's
Yes.
like 250, I think.
250 life lightning coils, pretty good. It's
good.
kind of juicy.
I mean, I'm excited for Facebreaker with Doriani's touch.
Right.
That's my build.
Yeah.
Decided right there.
So it seems like this is only taking the definitive mod off the unique,
Yeah,
not just like some
it's
random.
Usually
thing that's
a
lame.
single specific mod. So if an item has like 5 different mods, there's only one specific one that it will port over.
So you'll kind of know.
Yeah,
all the
there's a
time.
few cases like Shaper's Touch and 3 Dragons where they've got like a cycle of 3 mods
Right. Yeah.
where it will randomly pick one of the 3, but generally it's just one specific mod.
Yeah, that's fun. So the flavor, the main thing, the thing that you care about typically is going to be the thing that comes over there.
Good.
That is
That
very
means
exciting. I
like
quite
with
like
Cloak of
this.
Flames, you'll probably
Crafting
always get
stuff.
the
It's
cool to see
take this
exploring.
far.
I'm really. I guess it's somewhat similar to
But maybe
Elder's
they'll
Legacy,
also include
right?
the
Like a little bit.
Ignite
The funny
duration on
thing
that one.
is-
Who knows?
I think we designed these independently because we figured this out pretty early on in League development. So this would have been like 4 months ago or so that we figured out this
Yeah.
is what we're doing for Legion vestigial items. And then I was talking to David, who's one of the PoE2 designers, and he's like, oh yeah, we have this really cool thing where you can put a rune that takes the unique mod and puts it on another unit. It's like, what?
You
We're
stole
doing
our
that in
idea.
PoE1. But it does feel very different, to be fair.
Yeah, so I feel like this same concept is like all of a sudden being explored from a bunch of different angles by different people, which is kind of cool because you're going to arrive at a bunch of cool ideas that eventually you can.
It's
Compared.
the actual literal case of the great minds. Well, just minds think alike. I won't say we're great. We're just
Oh,
we're just minds.
come on. So that is like a pretty exciting new thing that you can do with Legion. But with incubators being removed, which is kind of like a lot of the baseline reward for Legion, doing Legions in maps, do you feel like the raw reward value of Legion will still be there? Is that being kind of compensated in some area?
Yeah, well, personally, last league I actually ran a lot of Legions, so I knew like the pain points especially.
Yeah.
And I was flooded with so many incubators. I literally had to filter out like 95% of incubators.
Yeah.
Very few of them I felt like actually gave much like value, and I just was annoyed that every few maps I needed to apply 10 currency incubators.
Yeah, I think this is a good change.
So I don't think you're losing too much. You still have all the other reward icons. Like another thing to note is, I think it was mentioned, is like Abyss Jewels are now exclusive to Abyss.
Yeah.
Talismans are now exclusive to Talisman.
Yeah.
So Legion has a smaller
bestiary.
pool. A smaller pool of rewards means you are seeing things like currency rewards, scarab rewards, unique rewards more commonly because
Yeah, they're
we've
not-
removed those other rewards.
Right, they're
from
not
the
being
pool.
replaced.
Yeah.
Like instead of a random incubator that you're filtering out, it's going to be a currency box or something instead. So okay, that makes sense.
It's a nice side benefit of this whole, ongoing effort to get each league mechanic to give its own special thing exclusively.
Yeah.
Because it kind
Good.
of incidentally buffs the rewards of other league mechanics too, Like, were you ever really excited to see an Abyssal Jewel from Tujin when you rerolled his shop? You won't see those anymore. And now you might be excited to find a high level Abyssal Jewel from Abyss because the market isn't flooded by 1,000 people clicking reroll on Tujin every day.
Yeah, this is absolutely the right move. It gives people their niches, their little thing to be proud of. Like, I'm supplying the Abyss Jewels to the market.
When it comes to like conceptualizing this, I know like Andrew came in. He's like, I got these pain points. I want to improve some leagues, and I think the thing we're trying to do here, and I hope you know, it's something players prefer. Instead of going fix a little bit here and a little bit there and a little bit there across all the leagues, I'm like, nah, let's just go all in on a league, do the exclusivity, give it an identity, be it a pinnacle boss or a reward system, upgrade it to uniques, fix all the problems with it, full fresh coat of paint across the board, and also quality of life, any just like, you know, the whole you couldn't break out, you had to find the last monsters when breaking out a legion, and now you don't need to, is like honestly a huge difference.
Yeah, that was me lastly. I'm just cycloning through the whole Legion, and I'm just going back and forth over it multiple times, being like, why won't you start? Because I haven't tracked down the last monster hiding around a corner.
But we're trying to just make like quite good packages out of these upgrades, as opposed to just like, it would have been really easy to just fix the few, like that problem and a couple others with Legion, like getting rid of the icons, so you don't just have those arcade style reward icons covering your screen in domain, you know, all that. Yep. But then we're like, well, while we're at it, new reward system needs it, and you know, with the burst we're also like, new pinnacle, why not, because it needs it. And and we kind of hinted towards some ominous mastermind of Legion there, so you can already see we're heading in a direction towards
more to come.
Yeah,
cool.
But I hope players enjoy the more grander reworks as opposed to like what would just get lost in a few almost bug fix patch note style things across the board. So even though some leagues, because I know a lot of people can go, what about this league? What about that league? What about, like, our idea is to just, we've got a new league. Here's a couple of leagues we want to improve by giving them identity, fixing everything, addressing the gameplay concerns, and we're just going to cycle through them. And I'm sure by the time we get to the end, we have to go back to the start. So Legion rework to 2029.
.com. There was a weird question from chat there. Can Foulborn unique mods become vestigial unique mods? That would be kind of wild.
No, I think that's the other restriction of the system. You cannot use the currency on corrupted uniques, and you cannot use it on Foulborn uniques, because it's sort of like a different sort of magic.
Right, yeah. Okay.
They've been defiled in their own way.
Yes. You're not crossing the streams. Things would start to get pretty complicated pretty quickly with that sort of thing, wouldn't they? Another thing that's been reworked and indeed come back is mercenaries. There's a long list of stuff going on in this expansion, isn't there? So to clarify, the base mercenary mechanic is now that you fight them in a zone and then they help you for the rest of that zone, not that you can then like hire them permanently on any character, right?
Yeah, so they'll start showing up in Act 3. There is a change that we want to get in. It might not get in for the patch, but in the campaign we do want to see if the mercenary can follow you for multiple areas.
Oh,
but
like,
if you, so in the campaign, it's like you find them in.
Yeah, you wouldn't want that. You wouldn't want that in endgame, would you? But like, in
it doesn't really work because they have to go from a combat area to a combat area.
Yeah, okay.
You can only have one temporary mercenary at a time still. So if you find a mercenary in one area and then the next area, you don't have you aren't taking a full party with you. But yeah, undecided if that will get in time or not.
Okay. I did definitely notice that you have buffed them, like, because they're now this limited thing. It seems like you're just like, well, let's make them ridiculous. Like, well, they're stronger than me.
The main thing with temporary mercenaries is you cannot tweak their gear.
Yeah.
And because you cannot tweak their gear, we can make them much stronger than before because we don't need to balance around you giving them 1,000 DPS axes and Doyani's prototype and whatever else.
Yeah, they seem to be powerhouses.
The good thing is we can balance permanent mercenaries and temporary mercenaries completely separately.
Yeah, and that's really cool. And that's the other thing. So you can now get permanent mercenaries through the Luminary. And I feel like this is the most interesting, unique ascendancy possibly ever.
I feel like I maybe lied last time we added the last Scion class where I said we'd add another one after 13 years.
You did, yes.
Turns out it was 6 months. My bad, give or take. So sorry, apologies for the dishonesty.
I'll forgive you on this one.
But yeah, as you were going, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's like, so the Luminary allows you to permanently hire a mercenary, and then there are, like, it's scaled back a little bit in that you need to say, oh, I care about them having unique gloves, so I'm going to allocate that point, or I'm going to mix and match those guys. So it seems like you've put some kind of effort towards making them a little bit more balanced, but this is like a super, I don't know, this is a super interesting ascendancy because it's got like a really long tail on it. Like you can keep finding new mercenaries as you go long term, right?
It's also interesting if you're not a luminary, because if you find a really good mercenary in a map, you can itemize it and trade it to a luminary. So there'll be a market for farming mercenary for other luminaries. Assuming you know what the very
I
valuable
like all these little
mercenaries
micro
are.
markets developing.
I can't wait for someone to buy like an ultra expensive warrant, because that's what the tradable thing's called,
Yep.
the warrant. And then they're like, yes, I get to hire it, and then they just die.
Oh no!
I'm like, no.
Evil.
But I thoroughly love where the Scions now ended up.
Yeah.
The 3 classes it has. You've got the Reliquarian, which we teased yesterday, day before or something.
Yes,
the new
we've
set.
shown the new ones.
You got this, like all 3 classes. The Ascendant obviously is a bit more, but there's still many permutations. But still,
Yeah.
3 very unique classes.
Yeah.
Insane build variety. It ended up just being amazing and special, and the Luminary just is the icing on the cake there. Honestly, I'm looking forward to playing it. That's definitely my.
Yeah, I'm 50-50 at the moment what I'm going to play. It's either going to be a Flame Link mercenary, me using the Flame Link, or channeling Lightning Tendrils, which sounds weird, but there's stuff.
Yeah, I was going to say Andrew has adjusted over 150, 100 skill gems for
Yeah,
this
I
patch?
think I still got a few dot buffs to do, but everything else should be in the notes.
That's literally our next topic. I've just got a couple mercenary chat questions before we move on. So, will mercenaries revive automatically if they die after changing zones, or do they need to be revived with gold still?
They still need to be revived with gold, and same system as before where they'll turn up in the next area.
Yeah. Okay. Did you guys I can't.
But their survivability has been... No, I don't think it's been messed with too much. I think it should be all good.
Okay.
You will need to put defensive gear on them, I think. I can't remember. It was too long ago when I looked at the balance for the...
Figure it out.
Did you guys improve the UI or something like that? I feel like it was a bit better or something. I don't know. It's hard to recall exactly.
We have added extra panels so you can see more information about your mercenary.
Yeah, there was
So,
the passives and defenses and stuff.
So the defenses,
Tabs for them.
I think, used to be there, but we've added a new panel for their passive stats, which will show... Because mercenaries in the back end, they have effectively a fake passive tree,
Yeah.
which you couldn't see before, but it's very useful to know how many damage increases they're getting, how much crit multi they're getting, those
You can
inherent...
actually build them a bit more because you know what they're going to scale properly. Yeah.
There's 2 things about the Luminary that I think are worth. You're talking about passive stats, and it reminded me. There's 2 things about the Luminary. So the first thing is that what we found is people were playing the Luminary and then they'd find no mercenaries. So the campaign has how many fixed spawns? 3.
4 areas,
Yeah. So some guaranteed ones. You're still,
Yep.
and the random ones are still there, so that you can't just I've played this class and I can't do anything. And then the second thing is in the campaign specifically, because you can't guarantee them with scarabs and invest into them always being there, they level up with you. So that the ones you do find earlier on will sustain for their skills get better, their passive, they get the passive.
Yeah, so when you're in an area, it's just matching their passive stats and their skill level to the current area level. But what it doesn't allow you to do is you cannot equip a high level item on a mercenary you found at level 30. So you can't give them high level items, but all of their passive stats and skills. I think this benefits spellcaster mercenaries a little bit more than the attack ones.
Yeah, but without that, honestly, it was a little bit dire. Leveling up as well.
Yeah, I ascended and I immediately found one in Scepter of God, which was the very next zone I went into. So I was and then since then I've done 1 or 2 extra acts and I found another 5 of them. I found one of the the higher end, whatever the next tier of the mercenaries is called.
Infamous,
I found an infamous kineticist, and it's
oh, that's the big money right there.
Yeah, and then I went into another zone, and there was one of the temporary ones, and I got those guys, and I was just sprinting through the zone, and he's slamming, teleporting, and she's throwing bolts down everywhere. I'm like, nice. Yeah. That's pretty fun. It's gonna be fun in endgame when you get a good temporary recruit on top of your already luminarious.
I get to be a
support
support character without friends. my mercenary friends.
Absolutely. Will Trials and skill gems drop from mercenaries now, or they remain exclusively as a heist reward? It's another question.
Yeah, we've moved them back to mercenaries, so they no longer drop in heist.
That makes sense. You want each thing to have its own unique rewards after all. Will there be a forbidden flame and flesh jewels for luminary ascendancy nodes? Oh, I imagine not, right?
No, there won't be. Because most of the nodes don't work unless you have the node that enables you to have the
And then there's that one that would just be completely busted.
Yeah. So it's similar to Reliquarian. Neither of those 2 ascendancies. You can get you can still use the Ascendance ones, but yeah, you can't get the
Yes.
Reliquarian or Luminary ones.
Scion
makes
and
sense.
being a weirdo with her ascendancies.
Yeah, she's an edge case.
We were fun little thing that I'm sure. Well, so we were just discussing this before because you experienced it out here, where a lot of players probably have forgotten. But for those who remember the first time players have to actually go and unlock the Scion to be able to play the Scion.
Yeah, I had a fresh account here, so I was all of a sudden like, wait, what? I forgot about that.
You guys have removed the Scion? Because who actually remembers
Yeah.
that from whatever, a decade ago?
Oh yeah.
So obviously when we announce a class like this, a lot of people who are going to start playing the game are going to be like, I wanted to play this thing and I don't know where it is and I don't know what to do. Almost certainly after this, we're going to go and make it so that the Scion is just unlocked by default at this point. We should be adding new interesting discoveries and unlocks, not like holding on to that when people might want to play this and come play the game and actually engage with the Scion straight away, and they don't have to. A new player shouldn't have to play to Act 3 to then reroll to do it. I know this is a thing that like isn't a huge deal
Most of
because
us unlocked it 15 years ago or something.
everyone just has done it, but like, yeah, it's easy to forget that even was a thing. So hopefully, yes, they don't have to play to Act 3 to then re-roll in order to play the class that they want to play. Which is a little bit sad because it was a funding at the time, but honestly, I forgot about it for 8 years or something. I don't know how long it's been.
Most of us did, indeed. So, Andrew, you did some work on skill balancing. It seems like hand casting, aka self-casting, was a big part of the focus. What was your kind of like goals with skill balance this time? What have you been working on here?
Yeah, well, it's a couple of words that keeps cropping up over and over again. So we sat down and had a look and figured out, like, what are the problems with hand casting? It's like, what are all the different things we can change? I mean, the general thing from my point of view is I think hand casting is like not bad in the campaign and like early campaign, but I think it falls off quite a lot in the middle game. And it comes back online very, very late game because you have a lot of very unique interactions like life stacking, that type of thing, which can then push it to be like very, very competitive. So a lot of the focus here was adding more scaling into that mid game, especially.
Yep.
But also the fact that we have like hundreds, I think it was like 180 spells that were like viable damaging spells that we could like were candidates for balance effectively.
Yeah.
So it's like, you have so much choice. Why would someone pick one spell over the other? So we've also done a focus of like trying to differentiate the spells a bit more based on like their inherent damage types.
Yeah.
So for example, like blade spells now have like 10% crit chance instead of 6%. So they're massively crit focused. Whereas fire spells have lower mana costs than other spells, but they have higher damage effectiveness, which sort of leans into them being very good for Ignite.
Yeah, I noticed you were doing more elemental distinction as well. Yeah, so like I saw similar kind of reasoning behind cold and lightning as well. Like lightning is faster, but higher mana cost.
Yeah, so lightning will be interesting because lightning has like all of the cast speeds are faster, but the mana cost is also higher. So
that's like a double whammy for like how do you manage the mana on that, and then if you're doing archmage things as well, especially. I mean, that can be a good thing. It's a good thing to have the higher mana cost potentially.
Yeah, I mean, archmage doesn't scale off. I don't know. There's not a huge amount of things that scale off current mana cost anymore. I think there are a few, in which case that is actually a buff for those. All those lightning spells.
Like unique or something, right? Yeah. So that's a bit stronger distinction there. I saw you're also kind of like, any kind of pure ice spells are getting a chance to freeze, and I saw a chance to shock going in. It's like, why doesn't this skill have 25% chance to freeze?
Yeah. The annoying thing that I found with freeze is that like, it's such an inherent part of a cold build's identity.
Yeah.
But most skills just can't freeze unless they invest into critical strike chance. So having a bit of like chance to freeze inherently on some of the very basic cold spells will make freeze actually be something that you'll notice early on in the game.
Cool, yeah. And it's not just that though, like I definitely noticed some pretty substantial damage buffs for a lot of these skills too, which is important to like give a bit more diversity. I even noticed in the early game, it's like, I don't feel necessarily like I have to rolling magma quite so hard.
Yeah, I think there weren't a huge amount of, like, to be honest, a lot of the changes were to the growth of the spells. Like, for example, channeling spells, because they don't have a huge amount of, like, different axes for scaling, we've increased like the damage growth on those, so the damage isn't like hugely different at like level 1, but it ramps up quite a lot more throughout the game. But we deliberately just nerfed Magma Orb very early game, just so you don't feel compelled to use that one spell. Please try something else.
The the curse of Magma Orb is finally over.
I mean, there'll be a new curse, but hopefully
weird, awkward
we'll
spell.
change it more frequently than we have with Magma Orb.
Curse of the Allflame.
So
Along that line, there is the classic, you know, meta nerfs, so to speak, that we like to do every league. But Andrew's a specialist at just give me a giga spreadsheet of numbers, and he is the king of just change all the numbers of all the things. Like most people are like, oh, there's multiple hundreds of things to do here, like, and they're a little bit reserved. And Andrew's just like, yeah, all good. Let's go through every skill in the game. Let's do it.
Oh man, there's a long list of. It's going to be some long patch notes this time around for sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, not to say there aren't any like nerfs related to. Well, one of the things is because we're buffing a lot of the spells, I don't want to just buff every challenge spell in the game and everyone's like, oh no, I'm playing totems. No, I'm playing mines. So do note there might be some like counterbalance there.
Yes.
That's a good thing. Otherwise, you're not even necessarily then making people want to handcast, right? Like, obviously. So.
Yeah. Do you think that there might be a need in some areas for any sort of like mechanical changes to handcasting and channeling in particular?
Well, there is a dream, and the dream is cast while moving, but that is... I don't know if we'll ever see that in PoE1.
So that's a tricky one,
It
isn't it?
requires the new rigs, I assume.
We will someday.
One day.
One day.
That one's an actual long time away, though. That's not like a... like... We've explained that a whole bunch of times. It's the exact same reason why there's no WASD.
Yeah, I see the question, and we've answered it before, the WASD question, but that's the same thing.
We understand
it kind of needs the rigging to work.
We understand how popular those things will be, and it will happen. It's just taking its time, and not due to us like not caring. There is a whole department actively working on aiming towards this goal.
Yeah,
all the time.
Yeah.
So
ironically, with the discussion and like a lot of the focus being on hand casting, self casting, and trying to make those better comparative to like triggered another means of getting spells out, which have been dominant in the past. There has still been a lot of questions about cast on crit and cast while channeling, and those feeling weak. Interesting. So it's especially like cast on crit players seem to be like lamenting the loss of awakened cast on crit, for example, and feeling like they're a lot weaker now, or that's a lot less viable. Is that something you've considered or looking at in the future at all?
There is this new node on Assassin, which is sort of insane for cast on crit.
Interesting.
If you're familiar with bifurcation, and I don't know if it was shown in the live stream, but if you're familiar with crits bifurcating in PoE 2, we've pretty much ported the exact same mechanic back to PoE 1, which is especially effective on cast on crit.
That was a whole can of worms, that thing. I'm surprised you're opening that one again.
Yeah, cast on crit, I'm like, sort of just ignored this patch. Cast while channeling, though, feels a little more like you are casting it yourself, although you can cyclone, which... So, cast while channeling has received some buffs. I don't think cast on crit has really...
Okay, yeah. Apart from maybe something with Assassin.
Apart from Assassin might be very, very strong for it.
Yeah, I'll ask more about Assassin later, although before there was the exceptional support. We should probably touch on that. So you did the removal of the Awakened supports and then the new exceptional supports. And now that we've had that for a league, I'm just curious. I've seen some questions here and there about it, and I've seen people saying, especially like dot builds, maybe poison builds, I feel like they lost a lot from the transition. You know, they had a bunch of damage now before that they don't have now. They were kind of already something that was a bit capped in terms of damage.
The problem that a lot of those non-ailment dots have is there's very few mechanics that you can do something like super interesting with.
Yeah.
And previously, a lot of the old Awakening supports were just pure damage multipliers. All the supports they used were like Awakened Burning Damage, Awakened Deadly Ailment, or not that one, but Swift Affliction or whatever. So, yeah, they certainly did lose a little bit of damage at like the super endgame, but hopefully I'm undecided. Like I said before, we've still got some like, I've got a specific list of spell dot skills, which I haven't exactly figured out how I want to buff yet, because it could just be damage growth, but I think the correct answer is we add more different, it could be support gems, there could be just some in-game itemization that like adds extra axes of scaling to these skills. It was shown in the live stream, but one of the packs is very focused towards these.
Yeah.
The Pact of Gore, depending on like how many different types of non-damaging dot skills you use, you'll get like a huge bonus to their like damage and.
So there's still some stuff that's going to come in the patch notes as probably early next week. So the dot skills, as he mentioned.
Oh wow, this patch then.
Maybe, unless he decides not to. And we were even working on some. We're working on some keystones for casting that we haven't quite figured out. But the hope is to be able to do them. Like kind of one for fire, one for lightning, one for cold, something like that.
Wow.
No promises, but they're close. We're like 80% into solving it, and there's just a few bits left. But we didn't want to add something too kind of convoluted, and so just trying to find out how to simplify them and make them feel a bit more fundamental as opposed to just like a confusing mess. And if some of that can just be a matter of descriptions, which... Oh my God. Also, I don't know if people noticed, but we have the hypertext system now in PoE1.
Yeah, the tooltips. Yeah. I definitely noticed that. I love tooltips.
I just remembered. I was like, we didn't talk about it.
I was like, wait a second, that's a tooltip right there.
On that note, though, we don't have everything. The system's there.
That's going to take time.
The new stuff has it. The old stuff going to require
slowly
it's a lot of
updated.
Finding all the cases where it's necessary, writing all the text.
Yep,
linking
them all.
You can automate some of this once you have a keyword, which is what we call it internally.
Auto-highlight.
You can go look for all the places in the game that use that word that you're trying to keyword.
Yep.
But the actual writing of each individual keyword, that needs to be done manually by people who understand the systems and is also very exacting because Path of Exile is a very precise game.
Exactly.
And so if you have slightly different wording, it can mean a wildly different thing.
We only let a few people in-house actually write these things because we want to make sure they're very consistent.
Yeah.
You see in some games where you've got descriptions and it's just you look like each developer wrote their own variation of it. So we generally try and make sure these are done very precisely because misinformation's way worse than almost no information, right? Like it just confuses people. So they're going to get filled in, but we're needing those specific people to be free to do it. But it's a good QOL addition to the game and good for onboarding as well. And so that's just random pivot, but I just remembered that when we were talking about the keystones and describing them.
I see chat bringing up nearby. Did we get that nearby?
Oh
thing,
yeah,
Andrew?
I was going to mention
the highlight, the circle.
Yeah, so I think what we're going to do is we're going to do a restart patch, like a content update, maybe a week or two after release. And for that, I have a plan where I'm going to unify all the nearby keywords.
Oh.
So nearby, close, present, proximal, all of that stuff. And then it will all be keyworded, and you'll be able to highlight the keyword, and you'll get the nice little ring around your character.
I just want to clarify, because people got confused about last time, when he says restart patch, it just means a patch and where the realm goes off and then back up. Just to be clear.
Not resetting.
I saw last time people going, what do you mean there's a week one league reset?
As in, there are some changes that won't work unless the client has been restarted. So it just forces everybody off the game.
Eternal terminology leaking
It's
out.
about client server synchronous. But
that's good news.
I've seen us. We refer to it as a restart patch internally, and I see some people, rightfully so, misinterpret that as a economy restart or something. I'm like, no.
You don't need to do that for a tooltip.
No,
not usually.
The new league mechanic tooltips.
So we've had the assassin rework, and how do you feel like that landed? And there was also kind of like linked questions about. Well, we talked about cast on crit, but also like elusive, not feeling very good to build around. But I think before you could refresh it, but not anymore.
Yeah, I feel like when we reworked it, it landed a little bit too weak, which is why we're making changes this patch.
Yeah.
Not just, it's mostly because it's an intelligence ascendancy, and so we can like put it under the umbrella of self-cast buff. But do note that the death marked node, the one that applies assassin mark, that has also been massively buffed. So
cool.
If that node is much stronger for attack builds, then hopefully Assassin is also viable for them too.
Control F Assassin in the patch notes then. That's good news. Yeah, because I was doing a little bit of research on that, just kind of see where it landed, and ultimately it was like 2%. It seems like the Shadow Ascendancies in general are all a little bit low.
Yeah, I mean, we do sometimes look at PoE Ninja just to see like the one or two
authority on this.
We often have our we make sure we address the least played class or two, but because some of these. We just instead went with more of a not to say they aren't, but fold it into the hand casting thing and do spell casting adjacent stuff instead.
Yeah, related to the assassin questions, a few people have been asking about daggers and claws. Daggers in particular feel like they lack a bit of an identity. Like, you would expect them to be the highest crit thing, but in many cases that seems to not be the case. And a lot of the times it's like, unless it's a unique, it's like, well, I should just use a claw instead. That's going to be better.
One of the things that's going to be in the patch notes is quite a lot of caster itemization changes, particularly to like staves and daggers and wands and scepters.
Okay.
So one of the things with daggers is they're implicits. We just had a look at them compared to like wands and scepters, and it's like you're kind of weak.
Yeah.
So all of the crit chance on dagger implicits has been buffed.
Nice.
And then the changes that were related to wands and scepters generally proliferate to daggers as well. So rolling caster daggers will have a bunch of improvements. Attack daggers versus attack claws, the only real change there is that daggers have slightly more crit chance.
Yeah, I imagine that's a bit out of the scope of this current one, since it's not the focus now, but something to look at in the future.
It's the
maybe.
same thing where we try and pick a package similar with the League reworks,
For sure.
instead of just bits and pieces all over. We're like, what's something cohesive? So when you go hand casting, and then you kind of let it spread and affect things that are somewhat adjacent, but I mean, the players will then tell us what the next, like we almost always go off, as he said, when the word hand casting or self casting keeps coming up, that's how we ultimately decide here's what we're doing next. So ultimately we just keep paying attention to what people think is not in the right spot, and then we go, okay, how are we going to turn that into a package, a rebalance package, and that's kind of how we go about doing it, to be honest. So let us know is the answer.
Well, I mean, that's the next question is about defenses on ranges. Obviously not in the scope of this patch, so no one expects anything in that regard. But it's maybe a good one for the future to look at. Defenses on the ranger build archetypes, especially with bows, it seems to be, is kind of the topic here. And I had some prolonged discussions with a few people about this one. So I have some extra context on this if needed, but the main takeaway seems to be that ranger defense suppression, namely, was nerfed as a result of other classes heavily investing in it, which is like a good thing to do, because you don't really want like the build checklist of like, oh, I have to get suppression on every single build was obviously a problem. So that was like nerfed in, I believe, 3.2.7, and there was some stuff before that as well. So while probably good for other builds balance, Rangers seems to be lacking in their own way to make up for that. And evasion seeming kind of increasingly weak, with less benefits to stacking it than other things like armor and energy shield. And other defensive layer options in that kind of archetype seem to be highly conditional, or they have some really big downsides. And the ascendancy options are really high in point investment typically. A lot of them are 4 pointers, where other things in other classes would be 2 points, and also highly conditional. It's like, you know, don't get hit, or you don't have any defenses kind of thing. So I was wondering if that's like an area that you might be interested in looking at in the future, or something you've been tracking.
I mean, if the player base agrees, and then we look into it, which, I mean, you're primarily correct, yes, then that will turn into our next package, right? Like, we pay attention to it during this league, by the way. And then we go, okay, you got this, this, and this. What one are we going to focus on? Maybe we can do a second. So, again, that is a worthy candidate for sure.
Yeah, I haven't played an evasion build in like 2 or 3 leagues.
That might be a good indicator.
I can't remember how good the defenses were. I remember the philosophy of that change was basically that like a lot of the investment in the ranger area of the tree should be able to get suppression back to the level that it was pre-nerf.
Yeah.
If that isn't the case, we can probably do more there.
Yeah.
You'd want to adjust things that are like solely the domain of that kind of build, right?
Yeah.
So like pure evasion bases, or maybe quivers, something like that, if you're talking about bow builds being a problem specifically.
It could be we do it more
ascendancy
dex,
stuff.
like if you dexterity focused kind of defenses pass plus weapon distinctions, like if you're talking about attack claws and daggers, like I can already see this coming together and becoming a bit of a thing. So
Even if it's not just defensive, it could just be something to do with that.
Since we were kind of talking about like the daggers and claws and stuff, that's also in that similar area. So I wonder if that's like there's a package kind of in that area.
I can see that. I could see that coming together. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like there's always gonna be people that disagree on like what's the next area that should be focused on, but that's one that got brought up by someone whose opinion I kind of trust on that topic.
I do agree that I don't think PoE 1 has super good identity between different types of weapons, because if you're a slayer, it's like, what's the difference between using a two-hand sword axe or mace? Really, there's like a few mastery options, a couple of different implicits,
and that's a fun thing to improve too. Like it results in things being more interesting typically whenever that sort of stuff is addressed. So
I mean, one of the benefits of having this cadence where we have the split teams with designers fully dedicated to PoE 1 is we have the time and resources to address these kinds of problems. We can do much more significant balance shakeups every league if we want to.
That's clearly evidenced by this patch with the gigantic delve into the various problem areas. It's good news for sure. Production, can we scroll past this part? Yeah, a bit down further, thank you. Cool. Another thing that got mentioned that I don't know if it was mentioned at all in the... Well, okay, so you mentioned something about Val orbs, and this is connected to this. So, synthesis. You mentioned something's happening with synthesis modifiers.
Oh yeah, we're just getting rid of them.
Nice.
That is the thing that's happening.
Good riddance.
Yeah, well, to be fair, the synthesis unique items are still unchanged. They still can get synthesis implicits, but they we've never really liked they're just like item bloat, and they don't really have a specific home in the game currently. So why have synthesis implicits when you also have Val implicits, and it sort of removes the identity of implicits on like weapons, for example. So
the whole identity was you take multiple for those who maybe remember the league, you take multiple items explicits mods and put them as implicits on something. Like the whole idea was that you're turning explicit mod power into implicits, and then we removed that conversion process and then just had... So really what it just looks like is there's just a random amalgamation of different modifiers that are implicits on these items. But it's like, you never synthesized it. It's just an item. So even like just immersively, it's just like, or narratively, or in world, it's like, what does this even mean? Now that there's no actual crafting bench to achieve it that Synthesis had during its league forever ago. But yeah, then it's just like, okay, now you've just got this amalgamation of so many different stats that are just contesting with designs, well, ultimately blocking design space, and they don't really have a purpose. So like, we just eradicate it so we can free up some, make some of these other things more powerful, or free up some design space to be able to do some more stuff in the future.
Which we then did immediately use, right, Andrew?
Yeah. So
I hope they've moved max charges.
Well, I guess that's
Val
sort of like
implicits.
the vestigial items, but those are unique, so they don't really compete with synthesis bases. But the main thing we did is we took most of the interesting, powerful synthesis implicits and turn them into Val corruption implicits.
Yeah, so
you can corrupt a ring and get +1 frenzy charge, for example.
Nice.
So that's a potential big buff to Val orbs. Then it seems like that's a much more interesting thing.
It's
You'll
going to
see
be
it
a
in the
very
patch
big
notes,
Val
but
pool, but
in
very
doing
cool.
like the Abyss changes, we've ordered all the mods on Abyss and we've removed bad ones,
Some of the
weak
true.
ones. Same for all the Val.
I think we got rid of the increased damage versus abyssal monsters one, right?
Yeah, I think
That's gone.
I think I petitioned you to get rid of those like years ago, and now I didn't even ask you this time. I just removed it.
Yeah, get rid of them. I don't know why I ever would have defended that. Fever dream.
Memory hole.
One of those days. Did you ask me before 10 a.m. and I hadn't had enough caffeine?
I can't remember.
You can't do that. I need
Anyway,
that for a reason.
That's the right answer.
Yes, I mean that's a very juicy buff to double corruptions.
The prior is interesting.
It also means you can no longer mirror the best items in the game anymore.
Yeah. I was gonna say like this is the
the
sort of
league
change that affects like
announcement
very technical high end crafting, because like
only-
you can't get those crazy bases to craft on now.
The only small reservation is it sort of removes a little bit of the value from the leagues that actually did, for some reason, drop synthesis items. So, for
It's
example,
also
Rich
only
Jordan
think about
Heist-
synthesis, let's be clear.
trichromatism, which adds
So,
each color to a...
those might be the next leagues in the future on the like, let's audit their rewards, make sure their exclusive rewards are like much more powerful.
Also,
in those things.
there's
it
not
somewhat bounces in the other direction though,
a
because there's a
node
lot
on
of things that'll
Luminary
generate
for a
corrupted
unique
items and
chest
stuff comes,
piece,
and
so
now
I
those
guess
can
you're
be
just gonna
much
have to
more of a
find a
jackpot, right?
mercenary with
Yeah. Well,
the
so
chest already
follow-
on them,
follow-up
maybe.
question was like, it was at some point mentioned that we would get the ability to add synthesis item drops back to
Luminary's looking
synth
pretty
maps. 'Cause
solid, though.
that was always like one of my favorite things. It's like it's such a high variance, fun win thing. It's like, oh yeah, man, rings are dropping with synthesized implicits. Like that's awesome. So now obviously that's not going to be happening since they're not a thing anymore. Is there
Your
something that
Bisax
synthesis maps could
looks
get to make
weird
them
unless
have
they're
their own
local
unique reward?
modifiers.
Are they even a candidate for that kind of like? Are they a system enough?
Well, they're sort of under the umbrella of unique maps being very old and being not very good. And we would love to just like completely redesign all of them and
Yeah,
do them
They're
properly.
getting sad. They're getting real sad.
Yeah.
It came up as part of the Atlas anomaly discussion. You know, there was a point where we were like, should all unique maps just be Atlas anomalies? And should we then do a pass on all the unique maps to make them more worthy? And it was just too much of a rabbit hole of work at the time. You know, it was maybe a month before release, and that's not the point in the development cycle where you can make that kind of decision.
Yeah.
I will mention one thing though. Doyani's Machinarium is no longer required for challenge completion. However, Doyani's Delusion, the unique boots that drop from the map, have been like, they always drop corrupted with an implicit, and they've been massively buffed. So
Oh.
they're very high variance. So you'll want to run that map to
Also, the
find
new
some
unique flask,
potentially
Stormblood, looks pretty
crazy
banger.
boots.
Awesome.
Yeah, I saw that. I was gonna
Yeah.
say,
So we recently
yeah,
had
yeah,
some
it
of the
looks
bigger
better.
Chaos Orb sinks removed, possibly causing, well, probably causing the quick spike to 300 plus Chaos to Divine ratio that was in Mirage compared to the more typical 150-ish that we had in Keepers and before that. So what are the, I'm curious, like, is this something you guys really look at or care about too much? Or are you like, the economy's going to economy? Like, what are your thoughts about it? What are the impacts on players of this sort of change? Like, if you have an economic shift like that, is it something you care
Yeah,
about?
too much.
I mean,
Not if it's too,
That's the
like,
impression I've got in the past.
if
Is
that
like
was
you
3,000, whatever, obviously, the magnitude matters.
Yeah.
It's, you know, not to say it isn't a thing we might want to consider. I'm just
Yeah.
saying, like, it's not a huge deal for sure. Not unless it actually spirals out, like, out of control.
Yeah, there's this thing with the economy that, like, from your guys' perspective, I get the sense that, like, well, this is kind of like the player's domain a bit more. We don't want to necessarily influence it too much all the time.
Yeah, maybe the new de facto currency will be chromatic orbs. You never know.
Could you imagine? Oh my
Yeah.
lord.
I don't know, not to be contradictory or anything, but like, I don't personally have much of a horse in the race of the economy part of this, but I really like there being sinks for things because I like things leaving the economy, thus allowing things to retain value over time. You know, it's one of the main reasons that I like personally play hardcore trade over other leagues, because things leave the economy.
Yeah.
So would I want more chaos sinks in the game? Yes.
Yeah.
Do I want them in the game because there's a ratio of chaos to divines that's wrong in some way? No. It's just because it's good for the game generally.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
it is sad when the Chaos Orb as a drop now feels weak,
Yeah.
right?
I think
That
that's
is sad. That
That's
is
the
sad.
most compelling argument that I see when I'm thinking about this, because I usually ask people when people think about, like, have you seen the economy ratio? And I'm like, well, why do you think it's a problem? And the answers I get are varied and not always super convincing. But the most convincing one that I hear is that the players who are picking up Chaos Orbs aren't getting that kind of like incremental progression towards their thing. Like that's like that appeals to me. I feel for the normies being one
The
myself.
fewer items that are satisfying to drop,
Yeah.
like if it only becomes here's the only 2 items you care about that drop, that's bad. So yeah, we do have to keep as many drops as possible feeling satisfying,
it's
and that
pretty
is the
wild.
main motivation.
And
to
all
go,
the small
okay, if
nodes
it
have
is-
light radius, which is also interesting for the wand.
If it's crossing it's a grey line. It's like weird, but if it does cross the line, then I mean, I guess it's not even really a line. It's just
Luminary,
the
yeah,
more
very
items
true.
we can keep satisfying, and thus
Very
you could argue,
true.
yes, this is something that we should push for fixing for sure.
Now all they
That
need to do
said, we have added a
I was gonna say,
couple
I'm
of
burying the
new-
lead. Yeah.
Yeah, so we've added 2 new crafts. Andrew did the balance on them, so
Oh, only the costs. That might be wrong. We'll find out.
There's there's bench orb crafts for Chaos Orbs now. I saw.
yes, they behave. I mean, if you're familiar with the PoE2 Chaos Orb, where it removes a mod then adds a mod, there's one that does
Yeah,
that,
it's
and
interesting.
then there's one that removes 3 mods and adds 3 mods. So you can kind of
Yeah,
use these
so
to try
that's
and salvage items that have a really
Very
good mod
good
that
for
you want,
hardcore,
but a bunch of
thankfully,
other
that we have
trash.
that option.
Interesting. It's hard to tell the impacts or like how much that'll be used, but it's an option there. We'll see how that plays out.
And you're
Yeah, that's gonna sink a few chaos orbs. There's like I saw that one of them was like
Yeah,
8
we'll,
chaos or something.
we'll keep an eye on it.
Ruins the instance
I wouldn't
anyway,
want
yeah.
chaos to become pennies.
But at
you
least
know,
you don't
like,
die, I guess.
which you could argue they're 1/3 of a penny right now, I guess, depending on what your
Do you call a
definition
divine a dollar?
depends what your dollar is, I guess. Well, I would argue the divine is somewhat of a dollar, but we'll keep an eye on it as well. But again, the ultimate philosophy is we should be keeping as many drops as possible, feeling satisfying. That's the goal. So anything that goes away from that is technically in the wrong direction. It's just it can get a little bit away from it without us having to take action, and sometimes there are short-term things that influence. Not to say that that's what's happened here.
Yeah.
And then they just course correct next league, and sometimes there are things that are
Interesting.
needing addressing. I don't have an exact answer for it now, which is why I'm kind of being a little bit vague because we need to figure out, we need to discuss and figure out what to actually do. Hard to promise things at this point, but yeah.
Well, we've kind of touched on it a little bit a few times, but Bestiary is like had to have seen some changes to its beast crafting. You also mentioned like the specific beasts are dropping specific talismans as well. Side note on that. Is that something you can target farm in some way since they are specific?
Yes, so every single red beast has its own specific talisman it drops.
Yeah.
So for example, if you want like a Rex talisman, then there is the node on the Atlas tree that increases the chance for like beasts from
Get
that
the base
specific
ones and
genus to spawn.
try and get a
cool
Doriani's one,
So yeah, you
basically.
can.
Yes,
Oh
actually.
yeah,
that's a good point.
a Rex
Yeah.
just looks like some
Quite
sort of mammoth
exactly.
to me,
Yeah.
but
I think
yeah, it
it's
is.
a bird.
Okay.
Is it a bird? It's a bird.
I
You
have
can
no
plus
idea.
birds. The more likely for the bird species, I'm pretty sure will increase the Rexes. But
Maybe.
I didn't actually ever think about how clear the correlation between the genus and the actual monsters is. So I guess it's fine. Whatever.
Wait, what do you mean by that?
It was one of you mentioned to me that beast splitting is gone. That's obviously
You only
a
get them
big
at map.
change for some folks. It's a
You
big
mean just-
crafting thing that was
Oh,
used for
one,
some
yeah,
high-end
yeah.
crafting
Or,
projects,
yeah,
or just
yeah,
getting
probably.
extra value out of certain drops. I
There was
suppose,
a
in some
scarab
cases.
for adding one.
So talk us through the.
I'm guessing it's
removal of the
limited to
beast splitting.
one.
Well, the main thing is,
yeah, limit
I
one,
feel
so
like
probably
historically,
capped at
beast
one.
splitting was never really intended for, or has never really been used for its
Although you
original
can
intention of
have
splitting
a permanent
the
one
mods
and
from
also
one
get a
item
temporary
onto two
one.
items. It's almost always just been used for, I just found the most valuable base type in the game in Heist, and now I have two of them.
I mean, it came about because we were looking at the fact that we don't want every simplex amulet to become two. Right?
The
Like,
warrant
that was
also
where this came in.
technically
We started discussing
doesn't
it, and
have.
we were just like,
It doesn't say limited to one,
is
so
this
maybe
even
you can put
healthy at this
multiple
point? Like,
warrants
just
in.
ultimately every base type that's of value becomes two base types of value, and I get
Probably
that it's
not.
just
because that'd
taking
be
away
weird.
the value.
You would have so many fucking
but
mercs, but
it also just honestly isn't
Maybe.
necessary at that point.
And worth noting, Fractured Fossil has also been changed
Okay, I mean, what
because
way?
that does a similar thing.
It fractures the item now, like the name
Oh, right.
suggests.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it just doesn't fulfill its original purpose. I could see people being a bit like, oh no, but I liked having two of everything I found.
Yeah, but
I mean, there's also like, what if you just doubled the frequency of them appearing and removed it? Not to say we've done
Like,
that,
even
by
if
the
you
way.
don't, it's like the thing you get now is worth like, 1.5 times as much or whatever the difference in the cost of
Yeah.
the beast splitting was. Like, it was just priced into the economy of it anyway. Like, so it just became this kind of like obligationary step that you just had to know about, otherwise you were scamming
Yes,
yourself.
Yeah.
And in many ways, the new
Oh, wait, did they
Allflame
remove splitting?
crafting is
Yes.
splitting items
interesting.
Sure.
in a
Somewhat.
sort
Well,
of
if
way.
you want to do the original intent of the
You can only
split
keep
craft,
one of them.
Closer to the original.
there's a Ducat that's very
true.
similar to that,
That's true.
which splits it into a bunch of ghostly forms that each have some of the item or one of the mods
Yeah,
in the
so
original
you
item,
can
and then
take
you
the-
pick one.
You can take the mod set you want. That's a cool idea. That
Yeah,
one.
so like that is closer to what the beast was originally intended to do.
Yeah. Okay.
Isolate a strong mod to then craft from.
But noting on the case of bestiary, I know Octavian, you share this as well, but both of us probably. I don't know how you feel about it. It's our top on our top list.
Oh yeah, even
So your number one. It's my number one for like.
Our programmers keep asking me when are we gonna get.
Oh God,
Need to
just
rework.
it is a rat's nest, man,
Yeah.
on the back end. Like when we added that scarab that added the new beast, the Black Morrigan, like that was just add a unique beast that has a few crafts, and that was like 2 weeks worth of going
Yeah.
back to it, fixing a bug, going back to it, fixing a bug, because it's
Sad.
Yeah.
It is
it's
the
a bit older, that
number
one.
one league that's in a dire need of a rework in our eyes.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Monsters are old, the combat's old, the bosses are old, the crafting system has gone through so many different identities and different things to the point where I honestly think it's like kind of lost a bit of its groove.
I mean, what I will
Um,
say is it's a very strong concept, though. Like going and
Yeah.
capturing beasts,
Yeah.
like wild spirit beasts,
Yeah,
is really
that's
cool.
worth
And that's
figuring
kind
that
of
out.
why the very original pitch for this league was like, you know, go back to that theme. So we'd want to keep the strong theme, but
Yeah.
I know that one, we all agree. I don't know how players necessarily feel,
Well,
but
yeah, I mean, I definitely have had questions about that, especially on the quality of life side of things. And since you're already thinking about that, it'd be worth mentioning those now. So people like, particularly like just with hitting the limit of beasts and then like having to empty them out. There has been some improvements there, but it seems like it's still like just a big problem for people that are
honestly,
actually trying to engage with the mechanic.
we've been doing kind of weak level band-aids for a while there,
Yeah,
and because the actual solution is quite a lot of work, and we keep going to do it, and we're like, oh, can we really afford to spend this much time on that instead of? And there's all this like cool content stuff, and every time we're weighing the scales, it's like, oh, it's not quite there. And so this is where I'm like, okay, in order to actually do this, we have to make bestiary the focus. So we have to go, this is the rework, and then we'll be able to do all of this stuff. But it's surprisingly more work than it might seem.
because
Yeah.
if you do it in that way where you're making it a focus and you're, you know, revamping a lot of the content as well, then you're not having to choose between, do I fix these problems or make cool content? You're just fixing the problems while making the cool content.
Yeah.
Make
yeah.
league good.
Something that I saw kind of like asked is like proposing the idea is like, do yellow beasts even really matter and need to be a thing like they are? Like, what if they just kind of dropped a life force beast juice or something
Discussed
like
this
that?
recently as well.
Interesting.
Well, this was part of the original spec where we'd basically wanted to say that yellow beasts still appear in maps
Yeah.
as extra monsters, but Ironheart doesn't capture them. And then all of the recipes just require a red beast,
Yeah.
and he'll spawn some random other beasts alongside
Nice.
when you do an encounter.
When I imagine it
But-
modernizing past, that's kind of what I imagine. Yeah.
The only problem is that is a lot of programmer work, actually.
Yeah.
Every solution we came up with was like, all right, we've done all the like 1 day tasks. Now we're in the many day to week tasks, and we're like, yeah, it's just getting so. Again, it will be a focus
I
soon.
wonder if that makes it a candidate for more of like a bestiary 2.0, like a more substantial thing, since it is going to be so much work anyway. Just to untangle that. Like,
Not necessarily as an active league, though it could
Yeah.
be, but
Interesting.
I'd say it's currently still probability-wise, it's more likely for just a rework. Similar to like Abyss and Legion this
Yeah,
time round.
yeah.
It'll be, here's a new league, here's a bestiary rework, insert other things here.
We've got some rapid fire kind of quality of life and technical questions here. EU servers seem to be having some major issues each league launch and maybe beyond that from what I've heard. Any news on sources of that issue or potential improvements on the horizon?
None of us three know about that, unfortunately. So, Jonathan handles that with our more live ops and sysadmin team, so we just don't know, honestly, what's going on. Like,
I'll ask him about it then.
yeah, that is the better thing to do for sure.
I'll get on it. I'll get on it. We talked about the tooltips. Excellent. In-game price checking was added to PoE 2. Is that something you're planning on adding to PoE 1 as well?
Almost all of that. Well, yes. Don't know when. Same with like price checker, build planner, which I guess is a bigger
build
thing.
planner. Yep.
There's some complexities around it. Like we are trying to, as from the helper text thing, we just got that ported over. So we're slowly porting stuff over. But often the best person to do it is the person that implemented it, right? That makes sense to port it. But those people are working on PoE 2, big upgrade. So we've got to find these like windows where they're like kind of
Fair
between
enough.
tasks where they can migrate it over and make it work. Otherwise, you're having someone who doesn't know that code base at all, trying to maneuver it over, and they don't understand the, parts of it that are less important and more important necessarily. And they can figure it out, but it would just take a lot more time. So we try and find these lulls between major tasks for them where they can go and port stuff back.
Yeah.
And we just need to do some of that, really. So.
And those are the sorts of things that work towards the goal of like, you don't really have to install third-party software to play PoE if you're a long-term player. That's ideally the outcome there. There's and that got me thinking about that. There's 2 features of Awaken Trade that would keep me using it, even if you had the in-game price checking that was working just as well. And those are slash hideout macro, the ability to like go to return to your hideout quickly. And the second one is the control scroll wheel your stash has without being moused over it, because that exists in game, but you have to mouse over it, which kind of defeats the purpose.
Interesting.
So I'm just wondering if like those are things that could just become core behaviors.
Well, the latter one, I can just go and talk to some UI programmers and see whether we can do that.
Both are fully feasible.
Please do.
The first one I'm less certain of, but
We had it. Well, why not? It's just a chat command.
I think in PoE2 there's a return to hideout button if you go to someone's hideout to trade. I don't know if that's in PoE1 currently. So that might be just like a little gap.
Also,
to fix.
Similar to how we bound use town portal. Like
it could be a
we
hotkey,
could have
right?
a return to hideout.
That would be amazing.
Or just a go to hideout. Obviously it won't always work. Like if you're in an area where slash hideout doesn't work, it won't work.
Yeah.
But
Awesome.
and maybe then do one for like, slash King's March or whatever the one is that brings you to King's March. And
that's kind of the one I use the second most if I'm playing that.
Half your keyboard just teleports you.
Yeah, we got a lot of hotkeys, but these could be optional ones, I suppose.
There's some are more used than others, right?
Yeah.
So we'll start with those ones before we add a whole ruckus of.
Oh, that'd be amazing. If the control scroll wheel's possible as well, that'd be awesome, because that's just like when you're transferring stuff from your inventory, you're moused over there. You don't have to mouse over to change tabs and then back and forth. That'd be awesome. Oh, great. Awesome news. The Toter event caught me by surprise. Trial of the Ancestors. I think it caught a lot of people by surprise. How did that one come about? And just kind of like, just quickly, kind of, what are your thoughts on it? Any useful takeaways? Learn some useful stuff about.
Well, we wanted to just have like a variety of different events we can run, and it was like we don't want to just keep doing the same thing. And so it kind of was like, okay, we've had this and this. Like we even discussed at the time, going, could Mercenaries be an event format? And we went through all the different options. And then I think there's been a bit of a because Trial of the Ancestors effectively got dismantled after the league.
Yeah.
And it was like, it's gonna be so much work to bring it back. Turns out wasn't that much work.
Yep.
It
took a programmer like 1 day to revive it.
Yeah. Ended up being way quicker than we had expected. So we were like, well, let's just do it, run it as an event. I know people have been craving it, but let's actually see if it's more nostalgia fueled or otherwise. But yeah.
It's one that I see, like, some people just like they tried it here and they're like, nah, I don't get it, I don't like it. But then I see other people, like I was reading a thread about it today, and they're like, I love this, like I want them to make it core. Like this seems to some people really fall in love with this mechanic. So is it something you want to make core at some point still?
We're on ultimately we were like, do we keep it as like a kind of event thing, and that way certain people play it because they love it and others won't, or yeah, I guess there is still the room to integrate it into core and do a bunch of stuff around that, as long as it's obviously, you don't have to do it, right? It's like, if you like that, similar to say Heist, if you are into Heist, there's always a crowd that loves these different things, then you can go do that, and if you don't want to do it, then just ignore it. So as long as it's in that format, because it is quite specialized content.
Super.
Like, it's just totem rugby.
The most of anything, I think, the most specialized.
So, you know, it has a place. We just need to talk about it and figure out where we want it to be.
Could we scroll down a little bit, production, just so I can see those questions down there? Do the Ducats increased intangibilities? There's some random chat questions we have here. So
depends on the Ducat. Yeah, every currency is just, set by, myself as to whether or not it does or doesn't. There are a lot of lower level currencies that you would use at lower levels more frequently don't. So like an alchemy orb doesn't increase intangibility, but things that you're using when you're finishing an item.
Did they explain what intangibility does?
Can replica unique mods become vestigial unique mods?
Yep.
Yeah, that seems like it would be legal, unlike the other
Those
ones.
are legal.
Yeah, because they're just kind of, they are just unique.
Okay.
There are some interesting things you can do, because you can take a replica unique, and then it can roll into the non-replica version of the unique, and then it can, in some cases, it can have basically two of the similar mod.
Interesting.
That's
kind of
item.
wild. I imagine you can't create a replica unique though, because they're from a specific piece of content, same as boss drops.
Yeah, we didn't want to do the
You don't want to cheat that.
getting all the boss drops and no one's even killed the bosses.
It's no good.
The things it can create are the things you can ancient orb an item into.
Nice. That makes sense. Can we get log into hideout? Or so like that option that logs you back into your hideout. I think PO2 has that.
As much as no one's gonna like the answer, no. Their logging into town is important for us.
Yeah.
and probably for reasons people won't like. But ultimately, like just to express it, it is ultimately we want the game to feel like a multiplayer game, and we want you to log into a hideout and see other players and be part of this universe where there are other players. And as soon as you can just bypass that, and again, I know people aren't going to like that answer, but that's just where we stand on it. And you know, not to say it, I used to say it a lot more, but my answer is kind of deal with it.
Deal with it.
Which, yeah, but I know that's not going to be a popular take for sure.
Will we eventually be able to switch out gear in the recently teased Animate Guardian UI? The teaser has locks in the UI indicating that we can't take items out. Interesting.
Yeah. Well, the Animate Guardian is, we sort of just got that in like a week or two ago. So at the moment, it's just very bare bones. It's, you can right click the icon and you can see what items are equipped on your Animate Guardian.
Yeah.
You still have to go through the really jank process of dropping the item on the ground and using the skill on it to actually equip it.
Yep.
We do want to actually change that so you can just drag and drop items.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure if we'd want to allow you to remove items that are on an Animate Guardian.
No, that's fair. I imagine it'd be like mercenary. You can put them over. Yeah, fair enough. I think that leads to my final question of today, which is ExileCon is fast approaching, and I think in many people's eyes, it's like it's a lot about Path of Exile 2. Like, it's a big event to announce the big stuff for PoE 2, but is there some stuff that PoE 1 fans should be excited about for ExileCon? Is that a focus? Is something happening there?
For sure. It's not PoE 2 con, it's ExileCon, right? We've got two main games, 2 titles, right? And of course, ExileCon will have a thing for PoE 1 and for PoE 2. And I actually saw some people just before the stream was started. I saw a few people going, last PoE 1 patch for the year. And I went, no, it's not. There is a 3.30. It will be before the release of PoE 2. And so it's crazy to think there's that many expansions.
I know, right? I was talking about this with Jonathan earlier. It's like, there's been 30 expansions since the 3 series. Right?
Yes, we will have another PoE 1 expansion. Already cooking up some awesome ideas, and I'm sure they'll release it. I'm sure next Saturday for us, we will be able to nail it.
Maybe
down
they'll
mostly,
try and squish it in quicker.
Yeah,
Maybe it'll be a 3-month
some pretty
PoE
cool
1
stuff
league
in the
and
works.
it'll be October.
Or to be in the works fully, since these guys are wrapping up. But yeah, should be epic. PoE 1, PoE 2, big end of year for us. Like, absolutely monster.
Although maybe they'll use
everything
ExileCon to
Exile
also
related,
announce.
Absolutely. Excellent. That's fantastic news. Exactly what we want to hear.
Thing.
Well, thank you
It'll
very
start
much.
like soon after.
Andrew. Mark, thanks
But
very
then
much for the
PoE 2
Thank
would
you
still
very
have to,
much, and
like 1.0, they'll
job,
be
you two,
aiming
by
for
the way.
December for sure.
Yeah.
Awesome job to use it.
Oh, thanks.
Oh, yeah.
But
it's a
ExileCon's like
banger of a patch.
mid-November, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So maybe they'll like do PoE
Alright,
1
see you guys later.
immediately after ExileCon.
I think it's like
Early?
early.
Okay, maybe they'll do that and then do mid-November PoE 1 League. And then PoE 2 1.0 in December. Because they wouldn't want to miss the December period for the big launch. Surely. Unless they still have time, they might need to delay it. Who knows?
Not me.
Yeah. Very good. Alright, thanks for stopping by for the stream. Actually, I guess what I can do now is quickly launch up the game and have a quick look at that hideout before I end the stream. Have a look at those decos. I'll change back to my widescreen thing. Hopefully nothing. We're still alive. Yeah, that worked. Very good. Yeah, I'll have a quick squiz at this new hideout. Characters should already be in there at least, I guess. Let's have a squiz at this new hideout.
You already got it?
Yeah, I picked it up in the middle of the stream. It's already added to the website, which is nice. Apparently it's quite a large hideout, I saw someone saying. Nice big round area. Can jump off into the ocean.
Yep. Take a dip. What's the worst thing?
Yeah. Yeah. Very good. I feel cleansed. Got some nice little hedge decorations, which you cannot walk through. Interesting. The hedges block you. Nice little plants. Some dead trees. Quite a bit of rubble. Oh wow, all these walls are rubble. Wait, no they're not. You can just make more walls like them. Burb. Zit.
Hi. Did you watch the reveal?
Where are patch notes?
Soon.
Don't care about reveal in the patch notes. Let's have a look. Ruins of the Deep. Descend. So you go to the floor and kill sea mobs.
Yes, and drown occasionally.
Is it permadeath drown?
It is permadeath drown, but it seems like you got like 10 seconds. They said that their intentions is that drowning should not be the main concern.
looks Savage Barnacle. Well, unless you show me what Savage Barnacle is, I don't really care, do I?
Yes.
Conditional crafting, yeah, I expected that. Ooh, the synth mod's gone. What else we got? Topaz Flask. Not very good.
Back.
Welcome. I'm liking the look of Mana Infused Star.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It's like the alternative to Tempest Shield.
It's Tempest Shield for stars, but also like initially I read the mana reservation of this skill is always 30%.
Yeah, yeah, it's interesting.
But that means that it doesn't go up either if you support it.
Yeah, true. Also, how's that work if you converted it to life? Would it stay 30% life conversion? Reservation, or?
It says mana reservation of this skill is always 30%, so I assume
Maybe not.
If you
Okay.
change it to life, it'll
Go up and down, yeah.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
But it doesn't really matter. I think you want it to be mana anyway.
Yeah, probably. Depends though, if you're like full mom build. Maybe not. But...
Yeah. It's another piece for Crank Tank though.
Yeah, kinda. Certainly a nice tool to have.
Yeah. Level 1, 20% more chance to block attack and spell damage is very nice.
Yeah.
Also no quality there.
Insane damage effectiveness and crit chance is okay too. 1 second cooldown. Interesting.
Unfortunately, it is arcane, so you cannot put Archmage in there, but...
Yeah, true.
Yeah. What?
Guessing that...
Is the base damage of the... Oh, it's 35% of maximum mana. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I'm guessing the base duration there is basically just a wave, so it's kind of like a wave of conviction.
It works like wave of
yeah.
from Trappers, it seems. It just doesn't come back.
Yeah, yeah. Interesting. 30% less mana cost of skills.
Which is nice. Synergizes as well with like Archmage stuff.
Yeah. Also, excuse me, but it has a cooldown time of 1 second, but the skill itself says no more than once every second. Choose one.
No, the cooldown time
is
is
the cast.
activating
Yeah.
the skill,
True.
and then once per second is the it's not like a cooldown, I don't think, so it wouldn't be modifiable, but it's like
yeah, I'll have a look at that in a sec after the stream. I'll end it soon.
So you're only getting one arcane wave every second.
Ayo.
Regardless of investment.
Yeah, true. Which is interesting. How's it going, Jasmine Pearl? Yeah, interesting. Crazy effectiveness of added damage though on that.
Yes.
But I don't know if you'll be able to really utilize it as a primary skill at least anyway. It's kind of just an extra thing.
I mean, yeah.
It's a shame it's a staff thing. Because, Yeah, not too shabby. New league's looking great. Bit weird, but great. I was mostly thinking like if we could use it with that silly mace, which activates on block effects, but yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's definitely not a thing. Yeah, very interesting. And then Pact of Gore. Empowers the next 3 non-ailment damage over time spells you cast. Deals 40% more damage over time.
And then Hunger of Gore, whatever that does.
Yeah.
With regular timeless emblems absorbing many of their effects,
Forest.
causing the domain of timeless conflict to be
Jesus.
Loud.
Yeah. Fucking speaker users.
To be fair, he's just had surgery, so.
Yeah, didn't have surgery on his ears though.
I mean, he had surgery on his nose, and generally when you do that sort of stuff, the whole face swells up.
Yeah, that's true. Alright, so...
What he's currently looking like, but
No, he had the bleeding nose though, that's for sure.
yeah.
It's probably still going. Okay, we got some nice little curved hedges, we got some bigger bushes.
Has rhinoplasty, gets fucking bleedy nose.
Yeah. It's basically all I play. PoE 1 and PoE 2, for the most part. That is for sure. Okay, we got Decaying Dead and Normal. Yeah, sorry, I'm just having a look at this new hideout that was released in the supporter pack. I'm a bit of a hideout guy. This isn't really the normal gameplay if you're not familiar with PoE. And I'll probably be ending the stream soon as well, because it was mostly just for the announcement. But I figured I'd have a squiz at the new hideout, just to show anyone that was interested, I guess. Might have to have a peek at it in PoE 1 as well, because it is in both.
Opens a rare belt with a trap or bind modifier.
Yeah, with the additional trap if you're dual wielding. It's a
Yeah.
weird one.
Very odd, very odd.
Oh, I didn't know you could hold down control and scroll to move objects around. Can you scroll for up and down movements too? It doesn't look like it. Unless it's... No, it doesn't. Interesting. I think that's all of the decos. That came with this. A nice little monastery grass. Okay, nice. That's actually quite a good bit of grass. A weird thing to to get excited about, but here's what it is. I've checked out that. I've checked out that. A pillar was just a pillar. Monastery door looks kind of nice. Definitely useful. Cool. How about the tree, the dead tree? I wish they had a variant with leaves on it. Especially because we've got bushes here that are like lush. Interesting. Anyway, that's pretty cool. See how they've used these decos. Okay, so all the paths down here, but that's already kind of shaped out, which is interesting. Give us these decos too, mate. Please. What are you doing? Give us like little bricks and stuff. Like that's what we kind of want for really fine-tuning decorations. Interesting these stairs are staggered like that. Yeah, overall, I like this hideout though. It's a good one. The blockable hedges are interesting, but probably good to have, to be honest. Like, you could use them as a blocking volume for certain situations. But yeah, most people are definitely going to be using this area up here specifically, and they might even just block off the rest of the hideout. But this big area up here would be great for a map device, and the rest of your NPCs, you could just self-contain in there, and then I also see the similar thing happening over here, especially because you got more interesting floor decorations going on.
Good news for you.
Certainly do that. What's down here? Actually, this would be a great spot for a map device as well. The waypoint down here. NPCs around the base even, and then, yeah, up here for the main mapping area. That could be cool. Definitely see that being used. This area's not too bad. It's a bit of a funky shape, but map device over there, NPCs around either side, waypoint there would make sense. I kind of like the idea of using this area up here as primary mapping area. Then you could have the dive going down to your merchant area down here, I suppose. You could even block this off, have a warping pad going back up to the other area, and just have your merchant like here. It could be kind of cool. And then just having those two areas, as long as you got the warp back up, that'd be fine. Just a warp back to here, or even more central. And then let people dive back off again if they ever wanted to. In fact, I actually do need to load this up in PV1. I just remembered we can see how it looks with the Scourge and the environmental totem thingy. Forget what it's called. Yeah, whatever. Doesn't really matter what character I get into. Who is messaging me? Oh, that's right. The patch notes are out, aren't they?
Link.
I will in a sec. Once I find them, I just remembered that that was a thing.
Yeah.
Here we go. Let's have a look at skill jam changes first. Most spells have received base damage increases, or that have received base damage increases, also received higher damage growth with each gem level. Nice.
Added the new Pearlescent Amulet base, which has all Ellie is an implicit modifier.
Boy.
That is kind of cool. While in a party, any player may now interact with the Expedition Detonator, Eldritch Altars, Harvest Plots, and Sentinels. That could be dangerous in a party. If you see a dangerous Eldritch Altar while you're doing, like, I don't know, a fucking gold run, click it and PK the entire team.
So what did it do, sorry?
While playing in a party, any player can now interact with the Expedition Detonator, Eldritch Altars,
Jesus,
Harvest
yeah, okay.
Plots, and Sentinels.
That's fucked, yeah. Crazy.
Hello.
Saints End.
Two new crafting bench options unlocked by default. Reroll 3 modifiers on a rare item for the cost of 3 Chaos Orbs, and reroll a modifier on a rare item for the cost of 8 Chaos Orbs.
Interesting.
That is cool. Basically does, like, what Chaos Orbs doing PvE do. I don't necessarily know the use case for that, but I'm sure somebody will think of one.
Yeah, I mean, with the new crafting stuff, there's bound to be some use cases.
Yeah.
God, it's crazy how different these games look. Just loaded into the same hideout, but in PoE 1.
Yeah.
Crazy. It's just the view angle being different is fucking nuts. Now, will this hideout break when turned to Scourge mode? Looking good so far. Nice. That's given some funky lighting, but I do like it, actually. Obviously with Scourge, it'll be even darker.
Item sockets are now always white by default. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Greetings.
Interesting.
Higher quality on items increases the chance for non-white sockets to appear. Currency that adds sockets to items such as jewels orbs, tainted jewel orbs, orbs of binding will always add white sockets. This includes the craft.
The bench, yeah, okay. Good to know. I guess you can only get a white prior by dropping it white, because chromatics always guarantee a color.
I suppose.
Yeah. Unless double crops can still guarantee all whites, which would be a bad outcome now, but
Yeah.
because I'm thinking specifically about pariah and then also the minion
corruption
gloves.
The corruption outcome from Varlords has been changed to turn a non-white socket, a white socket into a non-white.
Yeah, okay.
And the corruption outcome from the Locust turns all white sockets
Into colors. Yeah, okay, fair enough. So you just have to drop shit as all whites, I guess.
Yeah.
Specifically pariah.
You even can.
Well, you have to for pariah to have that 60% rarity for white socket. Like, if that can't drop white, then that cannot happen then, basically. Like, for the gloves, the minion gloves, as long as that guaranteed colored socket from a chromatic can not be the first two sockets, then you can always force it with a bench to be all white, because you can remove the other colors by doing that.
That's true.
Which is good. So that 4 white Triad's grips should actually be much easier now, as long as that's how chromatics work. But if a chromatic always guarantees the first socket to be a colored one, then that kind of fucks that. But I don't think that's how that'll work, so it should be okay. Otherwise, you'll need to drop a 2 white socket one, and then just force it to 4. But yeah, Prior must be able to drop white, and that would be the only way to keep it. Unless they gave Chromatics a special rule on Prior that allows them to roll white as well. But unlikely.
Yeah.
Now, quickly check in these spells. Did they do anything further for Stormburst? Stormburst now has 45% effectiveness out of damage instead of 35. And now deals more damage as well. Stormburst login. Stormburst of Repulsion. 80% effectiveness instead of 70. Now deals more damage. Hell yeah. I assume they've done stuff specifically to, like, Spell Totem and stuff to make them worse.
Maybe?
Yes. Spell Totem supported skills deal 55 to 50% less damage at all gem levels 1 to 20. Previously 49 to 40% less. So an extra 10% less damage on Spell Totem. What about mines and shit? Yeah. Yeah, so they've just nerfed the other types of things there. They also nerfed Archmage as well, bruh. Only a little bit, but yeah, it's still surprising when I don't think many people have been using it, but... Minion Pact has been reworked. It's now called Communion Support. Supports spell skills that hit enemies and cannot modify the skills of minions. Deals 20 to 30 flat fizz damage per permanent minion Interesting. So it's kind of like Black Cane, but for permanent minions instead of temporary. And it's maybe not spell specific. Oh no, support spell skills that hit enemies, never mind. Unleashed was buffed quite a bit, which is cool. Unleash may be viable.
Valborn Ghost Drive has been nerfed again.
Fair.
Red Wind nerfed.
Yeah, that's expected.
The Gull has been nerfed.
Well, I don't think that was necessary with the removal of belt anyway, but fair enough.
Chiquani's potential has been nerfed.
Hmm. No, the Grey Wind's still strong, to be honest.
Yeah, it's still
Yeah,
solid.
10% instead of 12, yeah. Did they do anything to animate Guardian at all?
Wrathpith has been nerfed. Fuck, it looks like it's fucking PoE 2 version.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 3% crit and spell damage per 100 life instead of 5%.
Fair.
So that's like a fucking
Yeah, it's a
40%
pretty
nerf.
significant nerf, yeah. Probably warranted, to be honest.
I don't care.
I know. Yeah, what's going on with the Shimmeron? No longer adds flat to spells. Now has +1 power charge. Interesting. Singularity now is mana cost efficiency instead of reduced mana cost of skills. Interesting. Mana cost efficiency, eh? Holy, Stasis Prison. Instead of having the max life, it now has 80 to 100% increased implicit modifier magnitudes. That's insane. Yeah.
Okay.
So Stasis Prism is now like a corrupt bait angle.
Well,
Because you won't, unless, like it's not a boss item, so maybe you can still get that from the random things. Actually, it would make sense if you could, because it's a fucking Legion item.
well, yeah, that's
So,
what I'm thinking,
yeah,
is that
yeah, so that's
you
big as
get,
well.
A Legion
Yeah.
outcome.
Yeah.
From the new Legion things.
Yeah. Very fucking
what-
cool.
What was it? 100% increased effect on
80 to 100% increased implicit magnitude modifier. Includes implicit modifier magnitudes. So like,
Yeah.
if you got a Cloak of Flame on there, you said it looked like it was 20%, it would be up to a 40%, yeah. Which is crazy. Because you could just double whatever it gives.
But then
Insane.
there's also, like they said, Combs is
250, yeah, so you could get 500 life. Pretty spicy.
Which is, like, it's like half a Combs.
It's not bad, yeah.
And you get, like, everything that Stasis Prism.
Yeah, which is fucking based. Stasis Prism actually viable. Less of a meme now, at least, with potentially good implicits. But then also, yeah, like if it can still just drop normally, then it's amazing Val bait as well, assuming that there's some good chest place implicits.
Yeah.
But maybe it can only come from those items now. Who knows?
Not maybe.
When you get those items, aren't like when you get those implicits, they're not corrupted. You can still like fuck with the item, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So
you
you
can
could
still-
technically val them and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and divide them. Shit.
Yeah. And link them, whatever. But yeah, I'm just, that's pretty nuts because like if there are some good chest implicits, like double corrupting and getting like 2 implicits that are then doubled, like that's gonna be very interesting.
Yes.
That might honestly be like just BIS chest base with good implicits. Especially because it's still gonna have the fucking crazy recoup,
That's true.
which is an insanely strong mechanic. And now we've got more things that synergize with the debuff reduction as well.
I wonder how that's going to work with if they're changing it to an item specific to the Legion mechanic, and you need to like what are they calling it? Vestige into it.
Yeah.
I wonder how they're going to do that with existing like Valdos maps.
Valdos maps.
Because I think I've got a stasis prison in my Valdos.
Well, you'll just get the item, right? And it just won't have any implicits. So then the only way you could use that item would be corrupting it and getting an implicit on it. Basically. I wonder if you can use one of those items on a stasis prison and get the stasis prison recoup on a stasis prison.
That would be
So you get like fucking 200% recoup on a fucking chest piece or something. That'd be funny. But yeah, very good point for the Valdos. I wonder how that's going to work. They might even have to remove it from that, depending on how that all functions. But maybe it's just fine. Alright, I think I can probably end the stream now. Thanks for stopping by, anyone who did check in for the coverage. Hopefully you all got the Twitch drop. Sadly, I can't do those over here on Google, on YouTube, but that is what it is. Hopefully eventually we'll get a bit more support for that over here. But regardless, new league's looking interesting. I'm not super convinced by the league mechanics itself, but the changes to Legion and Abyss all look great, so we've certainly got a lot to play around with. And a new ascendancy for the mercenaries, very interesting. Thanks for stopping by, and I'll catch you next week for the launch, if not before. Maybe I'll do some more hideout stuff. I haven't mentioned it yet this stream, but I launched a new hideout website. Aiming for pretty slow growth, but if you wanted to check it out and give me feedback so I can fine-tune the UI and all that sort of thing, that'd be great. It's pathofhideouts.com. There's a link down in the footer for the Discord. Join that, give feedback. Happy days. But yeah, I'm really excited about it. I've put a lot of time and effort into it so far to make sure that the experience of the creators and the users alike just really in depth. There's bound to be a bit of drama in the community about this, but I've been working on it for months. It was just a thing that I wasn't really planning on launching so quickly. But I saw another hideout website pop up, and he started sharing his around. It's probably good in general to have a bit of competition in the market, but I felt compelled to push mine out a bit quicker because of that. Just because I know, I have faith in mine being a much more refined experience at this point. So I'm hoping that we can just get people starting to use it, so I can further refine it even more. But yeah, I've built a lot of really great features into it, and look forward to seeing people use it. Pathofhideouts.com, check it out. Cheers, and I will see you all soon. I can just press this around.